Good evening, Travis.
Hey, Captain.
What's up, Trav?
Hey, what's going on? How you doing?
Good to see you again, Joe.
Haven't been here in a while.
I know. Well, let's not act like we haven't been talking for the last hour and catching up on
That's true. I mean, we could create
We got to be real here. We've
false narrative.
I think the first hour was, hey man, I haven't seen you in a while. What you been up to? And talking about the national things that people locally might not really want to talk about a lot, or maybe don't want our opinions on. But like for me today, I think my overall theme, just so people know right out of the gate, would be, you know, what are the big questions that are being asked, and what are the big questions that aren't being asked, and why are the biggest questions the ones that no local politician can explain when it comes to any of the rapid technology that's being pushed our way. So my big thing is I pay attention to things going on nationally. I try to dial them down and see how they come to our doorstep. And, you know, like data centers, flock, and drones all come in the same vector. Like they are all really tightly, you know, knitting this dialogue that we're all hearing from all different directions, and it's confusing. So part of the thing that I want to do tonight is just talk about what all these rapid technologies that are coming our way, what are they going to do to our community in the short term? Like, what are we fighting against? What can we expect that these technologies are all going to be good all the time? Or should we be having, you know, looking out for each other and understanding things and being open to hearing things we might not just listen to, how it might affect our kids? Think about how social media was thrust on our kids and how that changed their future forever. There really wasn't any warnings. They were just pushed, you know, kind of pushed into the fire. And I just see everything kind of going faster and faster in that way. Right. So I don't necessarily want to talk there, but I do have a clip I'm going to get into, and it basically talks about this guy had worked for ChatGPT early on. He left because the owners who were, you know, it was a non-for-profit at the beginning. It's turned into a for-profit, and they weren't asking the safety questions, and he didn't feel they were concerned enough about guardrails on AI. Why is this important to the Southern Indiana and the people of Evansville? So normally we are 5 to 10 years behind any technology or big movement in the world. Like if new shopping malls are popping up, it's going to be 5 to 10 years later. You know, we've had a buffer there. With the deployment of what's going on here, everything, especially in smaller towns, to me, I think seems very overwhelming to people. There's a lot of information they don't know who to trust. So let's just get into that. We've had a lot of local things that are popping up. We've had data center, you know, debates and people showing up to meetings in public and government, which is great. I think I love seeing the engagement. People are concerned about flock cameras, all kinds of stuff popping up. Let's start wherever you want to start with that. I know right before we started the podcast, you were talking about a lot of it is propaganda and things that you don't really know what to trust. But what do you think is going to affect us most here locally? Like, what do you feel like we need to be talking about right now as a community that we're not talking about?
I think that's that's
a big, long question.
That's a really, really good question, particularly prefaced in the way that you did it. But I think the conversations that we need to be having are right in line with a lot of those topics. So we look at the technology, fear, uncertainty, and doubt that's being generated. And there's a lot of it. And we're coming into an election cycle, and that's not accidental. So we have to have a boogeyman in every election. And it happens like clockwork. And right now it happens to be data centers. And it's fueled by several things. We have data centers and flock, quite frankly. And some of those concerns are really, really useful. And some of them are questionable. So and I think in order to really drill down on these things and start asking penetrating, curious questions, we need to actually separate these talking points, because data centers have absolutely nothing to do with flock. There's no correlation there, except data is being warehoused somewhere. Mm-hmm. It could be warehouse domiciled in a server sitting in a civic center. It doesn't matter where it's domiciled. Data center is really this big new name for mass computing modeling. And it can house everything from Amazon data to AI to flock to my grocery list. It doesn't matter what's in a quote data center. It's just a big massive computer. So let's break that apart for a moment. We can talk about data centers to start. Data centers inherently are not an evil thing. Right now, we are hearing a lot of noise about them, but no one can tell you why they're a bad thing. No one can tell you why they should be the big scary thing. And I think when I look at anyone raising a lot of talking points about a thing, or there's some reason that this is coming, this new boogeyman or thing that everyone should be up in arms about is coming to the table as a talking point, I look at who's behind it, why is this an issue, and why should we even care about it? One, data centers house data. Data is going to become, and large data access is going to become the new digital currency. That's just a known fact. That is not a mysterious thing. That's not a conspiracy theory. That's just the way it is. Data is going to become the next global currency. And whoever houses and has the most amount of data means they can analyze it, they can utilize it, they can create science from it, they can help manage economies from it, both business, local, and state and federal and national and international economies from it. It is the source from which everything is going to come. So if we look at why data centers are suddenly becoming the boogeyman, only in America, by the way, you don't hear this anywhere else, and we look at where the propaganda is being funded from, it is not inside the domestic borders of the United States. It's primarily overseas. Now, if you're an overseas interest, I don't care if you're China and considered an adversary, I don't care if you're Europe and the European Union, and you're competing globally for domestic product or GDP, you want to have the most data, you want to have the most advantage. It's a natural reaction to the America First movement. They now have to compete because they now realize we may not subsidize them like we used to that's what the tariff war showed them. Mm-hmm. We can stop, and they're not entitled to anything anymore. And they lost that battle quickly. And now we have data center contention. When in reality, everybody knows that the data center and the data inside those data centers are going to be the national and international currency by which everything happens. If we don't have data center and computing capacity, we are going to lose that new battle. We're going to fall behind everybody else. We may have the most innovation at the moment, but it will not last long. Everyone else will catch up, and the more computing power they have, the faster they're going to catch up. That's why we need data center computing. That is the beginning and the end of it. Now, there's a lot of nuance around data centers. We want to have adequate water purification systems. And by the way, the water that comes out of a data center is going to be very, very, very clean, because you can't put dirty into a computer and expect it to last very long. It's just not what they're going to do.
Well, that's one of that was the first question I think I heard you answer that's out there a lot.
It is.
People are concerned about wastewater, what it does.
And that's what they talk about, because it's big scary. Well, we had this whole deal in Michigan where in Flint, Michigan, the water was absolutely horrible, and it really, really was. That prompted the national lead pipe replacement that we have going on, which is not a bad thing. That's a great thing. That said, they realized that they could scare people bad enough to spend enormous amounts of money to do that kind of a project. Well, they use that same fear. They use the same fear with climate change. They use the same fear with global warming. We're supposed to have been underwater by now. Much of Florida is supposed to have been gone, according to Al Gore. We're supposed to have had COVID, where there's so much fear and concern with the COVID epidemic or pandemic. There's a fear that they generate to create an effect, and that effect is not very positive for us. And we have to look at who's generating that fear, who's paying for that fear to be created. And it's not us. This is not being funded locally or nationally. It's being funded externally, and you have to start questioning why it's being funded that way.
This is really interesting. So I asked a big, wide...
And by the way, this is not just me saying this. This is, you just Google it. Take 2 seconds to Google it.
A lot of those data centers are going to be closed looped anyway.
Yeah.
The water will be...
Yes, 100%, because it has to be pure.
So people's emotions and fears are stoked regularly. It's been happening since Al Gore. They started the whole climate fear propaganda campaign where we're all going to, polar bears are going to die, all these different things are going to happen. It's really interesting now to see that propaganda arm basically moved in a different direction. So they've taken all that negative climate stuff, because they were trying to control us with climate. Like they're trying to do all these different things, create 100%. All these different things, and now they've moved that over. We're like, data centers require a lot of power, so now we're not hearing about climate anymore. It's about You know,
but we
it's
are.
just stoking fear, really.
If you listen to Kathy Hochul, up in the governor of New York, she said, if you bring data centers, she's literally trying to put a moratorium on this in New York, which is absolutely outrageous because she says it's going to steal power and it's going to raise our carbon emissions and all these things. And she says it is her unbelievably restrictive energy production policies that she's put in place that is decimating the energy economy
That's what
in the state of New York.
most people don't understand. That's happening in states everywhere.
Their next door neighbor in Pennsylvania. Don't you remember when fracking was the devil? Yeah. Everyone was against fracking.
It's been a while, but
well, guess what? Fracking's been going on in Pennsylvania for the last 25 years, and they're killing the game.
What's one of the big reasons why Centerpoint bills are so high?
It's why. That's why energy bills in Pennsylvania are a fraction of what they are in New York, because New York banned it, Pennsylvania said bring it, and they're winning.
So the real question that should
it's another boogeyman. It's a
boogeyman. So like the reason why Centerpoint bills are so high is because we're eliminating many of the ways that we can pull energy out of the ground or wherever else and use it efficiently and cheap. What we should have been doing with that money that we're making all those years is putting it back into nuclear, micronuclear, making cleaner energies. Instead, they put all the restrictions in without having the solutions in place to make it to where we could keep.
You've got to look at that. Then that's another really nuanced conversation, because we are in a legalized monopoly in the state of Indiana through
Southern Indiana, for sure.
Well, all of Indiana. Now
they get some choices.
The rest of Indiana is starting to feel the pain. The choices that they have are not really choices. You've got a choice of three. Well, those three are going to do this. And when they raise prices, all three raise prices. It's not as if it's really a competitive market. It's a regulated space. They're going to make as much money as they can possibly make, and it's guaranteed through the IORC petitions and the IORC rulings. Now, the second you bring in pocket nuclear reactors or you start standing up energy production, and this is what I was talking about data centers, and I've been harping on this for a long time. You drop a data center in, you need to have governing requirements for a data center to be put into any place in the state of Indiana or country at all. That would be great. But specifically talking to the state of Indiana and our local communities, they need to have their own independent energy production, just like an Alcoa, just like a Century Aluminum, just like any major facility that utilizes an enormous amount of electricity and power has. Mm-hmm. The other thing they need to do is that needs to be an independent power production facility. And then on top of that, they need to have an interconnect back to the MISO grid that allows them to put the excess energy that they produce back into the grid for us to buy at wholesale prices. That would instantaneously drop our energy bills. Instantaneously, it would drop our energy bills. That is not a big ask. That is turning a data center into a revenue center, and it's saving us money on our bills. That's a fantastic idea, and no one's talking about it. Our government, and it drives me crazy, both our federal and our state governments are doing an absolutely abhorrent job of talking about how to make data centers work and why they work wonderfully in a community. They're not competing against this negative narrative. And remember what I said earlier, we are in an election cycle. Whoever's controlling the fear porn at the moment, which is all it is, it's just fear porn. Mm-hmm. And you can go back and you can look at fracking. You can look at global warming. You can look at, and I'm going to say a sensitive one here, the women's rights and abortion. When you find out that the CEO of Right to Life makes $1 million, and you find out that the CEO of Planned Parenthood makes $1 million, and there's an enormous amount of political capital that's gained in the form of donations and lobbyists, this is a business. This is a business that utilizes the sickness of this business is that it literally marginalizes the very women it's supposed to be serving.
I'm not usually the one that tries to throw in a sensitivity note here, but I would say anyone coming into this conversation, because I try to stay neutral as much as I can, as a pro-life or a pro-choice argument, I think that the big part of it for me is it's not whether you should or shouldn't have a right as much as it is used as a political tool to put us in a fear cycle that these people are going to take away this thing.
Correct.
These people want to kill babies. Anything you want to say.
I'm not here to talk about the moral equivalency of this. I don't care about that for the purpose of the discussion. People know exactly where I fall when it comes to that discussion. My point is, we are using the very people. They are using the very people they're supposed to be, quote, serving as tools to manufacture fear, uncertainty, and doubt in a great deal of money. And that is disgusting to me. That is absolutely disgusting. Now, they're now taking that same machine that they have perfected, whether it's race, abortion, global warming,
Ice.
climate, ice, all of these things. I mean, it's astonishing how well they have monetized this fear machine, and now they're using it for data centers because we're in the middle of an election, and whoever controls the fear, they're going to be the quote champion for the people. And because the Democrats, the liberals at the moment, want to control and gain access to the state of Indiana, and they're trying to gain a foothold here, which is what their job is. They're creating fear porn around data centers, which is, in 5 years, is going to be laughable. It will be laughable. Because if you do it right, you're going to have them becoming little baby power plants that are supplying power to the grid, that are supplementing our energy bills. That will actually help every single person in our community, starting with the people that are least advantaged. And why aren't we talking about that messaging? I don't understand why. But as to the power companies that exist there and why we're paying so much power, they want to make money. We have, with Centerpoint, they have a nearly $1 billion debt sitting there that they're spreading across southern Indiana, and they financed it themselves. So they're we're paying interest on their note that they're carrying when they're already making a guaranteed percentage of margin on every single thing, every piece of equipment, every single thing they do in the community, including the donations they make. So every time they make a donation, you've got to question, how much of that is my power bill? How much of that? And they're not doing the things necessary that would help.
We could go in so many different directions.
There's 1,000. Here. But this is what I'm talking about. It's a nuanced conversation. So when you lump power, and that's what they're now using as another little leg of the stool in their fear mongering. Well, there's going to deplete power. Your power bills are going to go up because everybody is really, really upset about the rate of power that they're paying, it is absolutely absurd that we're paying that much in power. We're paying off debt from decades ago that should never have been debt to begin with. That's the first thing.
But we have to accept that we have to accept that we're here. All we need to do at this point is not look backwards and point fingers.
To put these solutions in. That's my next point. They don't want to put solutions in because they're making money from not doing it.
They're making money from people being afraid. And here's what I want to pinpoint.
Disgusting.
I want to pinpoint. I'm not going to mention a name. We have a local person trying to win a seat at the state level, and most of the things are said, with a very smiley face, but they're basically pointing the finger at Republicans and saying they're to blame and your governor's to blame, and all. This is what they're saying. This person sits on the city council in our city and makes it very apparent in her social media posts that she, despises all these decisions. She can't understand why people think the way they think, and they don't understand why the left is right on things. These are the assumptions that are made in these little clips. They're like, to me, it goes to the logo controversy that I put out there. The Democrats basically created a logo for the city of Evansville, approve it in a city council. It's a majority Democrat, I think maybe 8-1 at the time, that approves the logo design.
There's still only one Republican on city council.
So let's not talk about the logo design. I don't really care. I don't really like it. I wouldn't have chosen that, but that doesn't matter. I didn't win it. But the fact that the Democratic Party then took that logo and basically turned it into the Democratic Party logo, I understand maybe I'm stretching for that, but why would you want people to think that you are the party and you are the city? So they want us to.
Exactly why they want.
It's great marketing, by the way.
It's very subtle.
I'll give them very good credit, but no attorney clearly looked at that. No person looking at if it was transparent out there. I mean, what they're doing is actually going against a law, I'm pretty sure. I mean, you can't assume that your party is taking over a city in Ohio and brand the city of Ohio the way you want your party to be, a party specific. It needs to be approved by the city. And does that mean the mayor gets to approve that it's a Democrat city now? I mean,
I think there's, in respect to her position, that Republicans are responsible for these things. It's particularly in the energy space. Every good lie,
you can't have a debate about
every good misconception, every deflection, every accusation, and every denial has a kernel of truth to it. Every single one. And she's not wrong in so much as it is a Republican-controlled state. they have a duty and an obligation of care to have protected us from this. However, the people that are
Well, they have to go under the federal laws and policies that are being pushed as well. And when Obama was put the green energy policy forced the states to get aggressive. And yes, if you're a Republican state, I'm throwing smoke for Republicans a little bit, and I don't want to do that, but the state of Indiana was forced to do stuff to comply with the EPA and laws that came down through the Green New Deal. And they were incentivized to go in different directions. And there were all these different magic formulas that were going to make our energy much cleaner, much safer, and all the things that they say, which turn out to be the opposite actually that's happening.
What my issue is,
it's brilliant.
This is where the kernel of truth is. And it wasn't actually the state that was required to do it. It was the energy producing companies themselves. It was much more insidious because they knew the states would fight it. They went to the energy producers and said, your carbon emissions have to be this, or you're shutting down. That was it. You're going to turn to natural gas.
All car companies have to change.
You have to do that. That's how they did it. Yeah. And so it bypassed government control. They put a mandate out and they did it. So, or they get charged exorbitant amounts of money in the form of penalties. And no company's going to do that. And so because the states guarantee them a certain amount of revenue based on every single solitary thing they do, every piece of infrastructure they put in place, they're like, okay, no problem. We'll shut this down. We'll do this. The state's guaranteeing us our margin. They were not incentivized to kick back at all. It's the problem that you have when you have a monopoly. Ironically, and this, by the way, I want to go back to my point that I was making about this Democratic person who's running for a congressional seat. She has a kernel of truth. These Republicans that have been controlling the state have a duty of care to every single person they represent. And they have, in some measure, not protected us from this monopoly. Let's assume under the best circumstances that this was the right choice at the time it was done and we became a regulated state. Fine. That time's passed. We can't keep clinging to regulated power and claiming we're going to have too many transmission lines and it's going to look ugly. That is the dumbest shit I have ever heard in my entire life, and I'm done with it. What we need to do is hold these legislators to account. It's time to reform our energy policy. Full stop. The end. Our governor is trying to reform our energy policy, and he's being fought tooth and nail at every single solitary step he's taking. And it's hard. It's frustrating. It's hard. I've spoken with the man multiple times. I've spoken with his cabinet members multiple times. They are very incentivized by him.
Well, the energy lobby
to try and do this.
The energy lobbies are a long game that we can't even.
Well, all they have to do is wait him out. All they have to just wait 4 years, and because he's not keeping the promises that he made on the campaign,
and then they'll forget about the promises 100%. when a Democrat gets elected.
100%.
They'll change the narrative.
We have to maintain a longer community memory, and we have to start getting behind people. We have to stop fighting against people. One of the things that this person is running for Congress is doing very well is she's trying to take issues that she has no business and no knowledge of and making them hers. So when she says these things, it's very easy to refute them. Tell me why. Tell me why, Marianne. Tell me why this is happening. Tell me why you think, what would you do different? How would you change this? You're running for a seat. Tell me how you would change this. And she will have nothing.
That's the exact questions that she doesn't answer ever.
Here's the issue. The very nature of what the Democratic Party wants is the monopoly we find ourselves in with Centerpoint. That is what they're trying to get to. They don't understand that they've already got it right here, and it's failing. It's causing undue burden to the people that they represent. The bigger story is we need to pressure our legislature to do what the governor wants and completely overhaul our energy policy in the state of Indiana. It can be.
We should throw it away and start over.
That's exactly what needs to happen.
Pay whatever fine you got to pay.
Well, there's no fines. It's the government. They can do whatever they want.
Well, I mean, but you look at Centerpoint. You're right. They could just tell Centerpoint.
Agreement. There's no lease. There's no nothing.
Well,
they could.
Why don't they just take it over?
Because they don't want to. They do not want to. Centerpoint doesn't want it. The Centerpoint gives enormous amounts of dollars. Our mayor got dollars from Centerpoint. You think she really cares? No, she doesn't care. She talks about caring, but she doesn't care. And it's not her fault that she doesn't care.
She's got big energy bills too, unless she's getting some kind of a program that I'm not.
I have no idea. I doubt that she is. I think that would be illegal. I don't think that she is. However,
we may have just started a rumor here.
I know, and I want to make sure that we don't, because
Travis is. I'm just kidding.
Yeah,
that was a joke.
Facetious, I know.
Come on, let's be.
But I want to also be very clear. You cannot both take money from an entity and fight that same entity. You cannot do it effectively. And even if you did, even if someone took money from Centerpoint and said, first day in office, I'm fighting against them tooth and nail, how much do you think anyone's going to believe you?
Well, with the lucky thing about what I'm doing, Joe, is when I've got quite a few people giving a little bit of money here and there, and a couple are giving more. They know that I'm going to ask every question that I want to ask. I'm going to dig into every corner. I'm going to say things people don't want to hear that are going to make some people like, oh, there he goes again. All I do is want to answer to a question. If you can provide an answer to a question, I'll quit asking it.
And by the way, I don't know is a perfectly acceptable answer. I don't know what I would
There's no
do.
perfect answer.
Correct.
I just want to know where you stand.
I want to, when someone says energy policy, I want to know they have an energy policy. Or, you know what? Travis over here is my energy guy. Travis, tell him our energy policy, whatever it is.
That's right.
Whatever. I'm just using it as an example.
Well, I mean,
That's
there should be a specialist in that field.
This is why
you have a cabinet, right?
That's why you're supposed to have experts that are advising you and how to make changes. And while the mayor has limited power and capability of affecting change in energy rates, she has enormous amount of power to affect rates in the Evansville water sewer utility, and she raises those constantly. We're in fact using them as a bank for this new solar project.
How do you think? Wow, I mean, you beat me to it. I was going to say, how do you think we're going to pay for that solar?
The most expensive way possible, and this nonsense ROI is imagination and vaporware. I've never seen anything quite.
Those are a lot of the questions I ask. Like, show me where you're making money.
They
About
can't
10, 12
show you.
years, 10, 12 years break even probably?
In Arizona, 10, 12 years.
First of all, you're going to have to replace those things. They're
20.
not going to last that long. That's right about the time you have to change them out, I think.
Yeah, 20 years is the life of a solar panel. And we're talking mass solar panel. Plus, then you're going to have to pay to have them decommissioned. And there's no decommissioning.
So this is another one of those arguments going on, and whether to use private land, farmland versus putting these things on roofs. So
I'm
this
a
is
fan of putting things on roofs like that.
Yeah, or over
that parking
lots.
Yeah. The airport's doing it. Orthopedic Associates is doing it. Yeah. But you know what happened with Orthopedic Associates? They said, we're just going to do it. They privately, that's a doctor-owned facility. Yeah. They privately decided they
invested themselves in this.
And they invested in it, and now it's helping to supplement their energy.
You want to go by there and see if they'll do portable nuclear?
You know what? They probably would.
Let's have that podcast.
They're some of the most entrepreneurial people I've ever met. They're amazing. I was part of that project. But going back to your original question, which is, we talked about data centers now. We talked about some of the political motivation behind creating a boogeyman, because everyone has to have the big, bad, scary guy that the opposition's fighting against. We address the energy consumption requirements, which is total nonsense.
I think they played out the Trump card about as far as they can.
I think that now they're trying to get, Trump is not going to be around in 2 more years. Right. He's going to be done.
Yep.
And now they realize, they're finally realizing that there's no Trump's the big, bad, scary man anymore. And now they're having to try and actually get to issues, and they don't have any issues to get to because they don't know anything. That's the problem. And on both sides of this aisle, on energy, by the way, and data centers for that matter, I've listened to some of the most ridiculous drivel I've ever heard that's unbelievably inaccurate and should not even be allowed to be posted from a legislator or a leader. It just is absolutely ridiculous. These people need to get, and I've told them this, I won't say the person's name. I should, but I won't. I've told them, find somebody who's really good at this and let them advise you. Please find someone that's really good at this and let them advise you, because you're confusing people. It is quite apparent you have no idea what you're talking about. Absolutely no idea what you're talking about. And it is embarrassing to your entire party. Please stop and just get somebody. I don't know everything. When I want to know about technology, Travis, what do I say? Tell me what I need to know. That's what I say.
You might ask me a question or two, yeah.
100%. We need to start requiring our leaders to actually know what they're talking about, or find somebody that does, and start giving us solutions that actually make sense. Start doing things, not for the sake of showing activity, but for the sake of actually putting a solution out there that works. We're tired of nonsense. It's making us exhausted. That's why we have an extremely low voter participation. In every race we have going right now, we have got to get people back involved, back energized, because they can actually make a difference. And that's a commitment that the leaders that are running need to start making to their people.
Well, the leaders that are running and the leaders that want to be future leaders, I think the next segment we need to talk about a little bit is transparency, and just be real clear about what that means.
Well, that takes me to the last thing you were talking about, which is the flock and the drone stuff.
So the three of us sitting here in this room have fairly different, divergent views on how we look at the technology and how it's coming and everything. And I love you guys like you're my brother, and I'll hear it all day. And you know when I give you shit back and I don't agree with you, and you just take it and you're like, and you keep giving me your argument and your fight. That's actually the tension that's needed in more rooms. And that's how you get
solutions.
What's closest to truth. Or like, just hear me. Hear what I'm saying about my concerns.
Hear each other.
Address me. Well, I mean, you got to hear me before I hear you.
Yeah, but
and vice versa. Yeah. It's a trick to. Does he think that I've heard him enough that I can ask him a question? I mean, so it's kind of that
skill there.
Well, there's a skill. There's a relationship part of it. Is if you have regular conversations with, you trust that I'm not going to take your conversation, the things we talked about, and throw them in your face and have gotcha moments. I'm going to come back and ask you more questions about it, and you're going to give me how you feel about it today.
Curiosity
and that's how shit works. You know, that's the way society works. I'll just finish with here because transparency is a big thing. I'm going to say the name out loud now, just because it's Mary Allen. You put very specific questions, neutral, not calling anyone names, not saying anything mean, just making like, what is your position on this? And please explain your position here. Putting that on record and then being able to have conversations with other people about why you feel that way. I mean, there's like 50 questions that every local leader who wants to get elected should have a pretty solid foundational knowledge about what's going on and, what's going on with energy in the city of Evansville. The mayor should know that. Every city council member should know that, because we're all working towards these 50 things that if we compile all of, say we get 115,000 people in the Evansville area to participate in an experiment. That experiment is you ask the top 5-10 questions that you have. Here's what I'm concerned about the city of Evansville. Here's what I don't like. Here's whatever. Put it in your little private LLM, and we feed that into a system, and we compile the questions. We make the questions less nuanced, maybe, and more generalized, and let everybody know what direction we're heading. Because
that'd be great.
People don't have time to listen to every question that you and I have.
It's exhausting.
We're trying to move a ball in a direction that's more favorable to humanity. It's not about a Democrat. It's not about a Republican. It's not about where you live in the city. It's are the people that are supposed to be answering these questions actually answering the questions, and is our policy following the direction that they're telling it should be going? If not, we need to audit that. We need to look at it, we need to pinpoint it, and we need to demand that our people that are going to get elected the next time fix this piece. If you don't fix this piece or work on it and tell me how you're doing that every year, you need to go, because these are the things that are going to move our needle. And I don't know what direction our needle needs to go, so I'm not sitting here playing I know the answers to everything. I just think the technology is being built right now that we can do that. So we need citizens that are listening to this podcast to participate.
I think that'd be
get involved.
I also think that that all that technology you're talking about lives in data center.
Yep.
But
wah, wah.
Oh, now I need to get another drink or something.
So he's not wrong though.
Here's the deal. I actually know Mary Ellen. I know her pretty well. She's a great person.
Everybody likes her. I say it every time.
She's a great person. She has one of the biggest hearts I've ever run across, and I will tell everybody that I can love her as a person.
You're telling all the people I know that right now.
Yeah, I do. I do that. But I don't have to agree with her policies. She and I can have a very lively debate about her policies, and I will give her my perspective. She's going to give me hers, and I will care about her as a human. But I can be adamantly opposed without being unkind to everything she's doing, or most everything she's doing. That doesn't make me a bad person. And for whatever reason, in today's world, predominantly the left side of the spectrum has created a narrative where if you're not kind, if you're not gentle, if you're not demure, then you're a bad person. You're an awful person. We can't have, and they weaponize the very conflict that makes this country great. We want to be in conflict. We want to have tension between one side and the other. And by the way, before I get too far down the rabbit hole, I want to preface it by saying I absolutely hate monolithic adherence to any one side of the right versus left. I find that disgusting. I will not subscribe to a religion, a political thought.
You're not going to vote R all the way down just because.
Absolutely
or vote
not.
D
I
all the way
absolutely
down
will
just
not.
because-
I
yeah, exactly.
refuse to do that. What I will do is I will find the candidates, the individuals that most closely align with my moral compass and my belief system and my policies that I think are going to work. And that's who I'm going to vote for.
And the hope is they follow through with those.
Correct. And hopefully this model that you guys are putting together helps give me visibility into them as a candidate and a person that gives me confidence to go and vote for them. I do not care what the parties have become so monolithic as a church. And if you don't subscribe to the religion of the particular party, then we hate you. That is ridiculous. It's disgusting. I hate that feeling. I hate what that does to society. I hate that people I care about and respect and like Mary Ellen, are now weaponizing that.
But you realize this is a
weaponization of
natural
malicious
tension.
kindness is disgusting.
It's a natural, but here's what I think. We all want it to be solved real quickly, and trust me when I tell you, nobody wants that more than me, because I have been talking about United Divided for several years now. The goal for me is like moving the Titanic from hitting the iceberg. Like, we can't get so on the right, we can't, or center, or apolitical. You can't get so fixated in your ideas that you're not willing to like sit down and have a conversation, disagree. Like, some of the best political stories on the planet were a Democrat president and a Republican head of, Senate or whatever, that would fight like dogs, but were best friends and had utmost respect for each other and could talk good things. Like,
You hear these stories all the time.
You have to have those relationships. So your point about them weaponizing other people's feelings, so how we can respond to things or what things we can or can't talk about. Like, why United Divided is here for me is because I want to talk about whatever topics I want to talk about. I don't care about your politics.
Or your feelings.
Bring whatever, leave your R, D, I, all the other letters at the door. Come have a conversation about the topic. And I think most people would love to do that, unless they think that's a threat to the power or to the thing that they are clamoring to.
One of the things that I think people are so concerned about, because it happens all the time, particularly in some of these more contentious situations and setups like this, is they're worried about the gotcha. They're worried about being ganged up on. They watch too much of The View. They think you're going to be ganged up on. And it's only the bravest that go into the lion's den. You guys are not like that. That's not how you're put together. That's not how you operate. You want to get people on the record to understand their thoughts. You want to know those people. You create a relationship. We don't always agree. Chad, you and I are about to talk about Flock, and we're not going to agree about this at all.
I don't want to agree with you. If I'm agreeing with you, I'm actually in the wrong room. I mean, that's the way I feel about it.
I want to be challenged as a thought leader today, as a business leader today, as a political leader at some point. I want to be challenged constantly. I want to be very open to challenge, because that's how we get better. You don't sharpen a sword by rubbing it with a soft, damp cloth. They've created this environment where if you challenge authority, if you challenge a person, you're not kind. You're not genteel. They've created this. We want everyone to be so kind and just go with the flow, and everyone cares about everything, and there's no conflict anywhere. That is not how the world works. First of all,
I called out the Democratic Party, so I'll call out the Republican Party locally. I've put a couple things out being contentious with leadership of Republican Party in Southern Indiana for a long time. I'm like, here's what I don't agree with. Here's where you've lost me. Here's why I don't like. I still don't see a good direction. And I actually had one clap back and say something very like defensive.
Did you?
And I'm like, look, I want to be on your team, dude. You're the things that you align with. I think I align with you much more than I invite. On a lot of things.
Did you invite him on
to the far? I mean, the invitation is there for anyone that wants to come on.
I would invite him on. Whoever this is, I would invite him on.
Well, it's the leader of the Republican Party.
Invite him on.
in the area. Yeah. In the area which So again,
there's
and we cannot clip this. I'll actually let you be the deal on this one. I like that there's tension between potentially you and the party. The only way we don't just fall into here's how you need to run based on what these people having these conversations in a different room thinks a good idea, that actually means that you're omitting the citizens of Evansville, the voice of the people. You are tuning out. You're creating a campaign based on virtue signals that are put out at the national level and they trickle down to us. People are emotional about it. So I hate Republicans. I hate Democrats. Travis is an idiot on this issue. Joe, you're an idiot on this issue. You should all hate each other. Just fight. No. We should have an anchor or a honing that's taking us in a direction. And the party, that is the Republican Party, doesn't have a vision that anyone can see. And I want to hear it. Push back on me, because I know you've had a little bit to do with it.
I have.
It's not a very good marketing campaign.
So I'm going to defend the party here, in a little bit. And let me be perfectly frank. We don't agree on everything.
We shouldn't.
We absolutely do not agree on it. One of the biggest critiques that various party leaders have of me is that I don't go with the flow and that I challenge people in my own party and take them to task on things. That's what I do. I want them to do the same thing to me. I'm not going to go with the flow. I'm not easily led, and I'm not going to just toe a random party line because they tell me I should. That's not how I'm put together. I'm never put together that way. I am naturally pretty.
You're naturally pretty?
Well, yes.
I'm sorry.
Yes, I like to think so. I would like to think so, but I would also, I'm naturally
I think you're a pretty handsome dude.
authority. I challenge whatever narratives are given to me.
Yeah.
I want to understand the reasons why someone says a thing is a thing. And that doesn't always sit well with people. Well, it makes people start questioning. Good. Let's start questioning. Now, to defend them a little bit, it is extremely hard to take a bunch of people that are independently thinking, and we have a lot of independent thought in the Republican Party, a lot of divergent personalities and strong personalities. And we often fight amongst ourselves stupidly, which frustrates the internal mechanisms of the party, and we get low voter turnout because we can't get behind a candidate, or we can't get behind because we're so worried about grievances that happened 10, 15, 20, 30 years ago. We can't say enough. In boxing, and I always go back to what I know. Travis, you and I are in a boxing match, and you whoop my ass. You beat the brakes off me. Let's assume that this happened.
That's why I'm bringing my gun, dude. Yeah. You and I are not ever coming to bit. That is not happening.
Let's assume that we got in a boxing match. The first thing I'm going to do is be like, man, that is awesome. I love the fact that you best dude ever. Travis is awesome. You always hear that. That's what we do. And the next time we go in the ring, I can't wait to fight him again. I can't wait to get back in it. Everything's forgiven. Every punch that I took is forgiven, and we're getting ready for the next fight. We don't do that. We used to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Ronald Reagan used to do that. JFK used to do that. These people used to understand that politics is like a boxing match. They equated it to this.
You understand you just backed yourself into a corner, right?
Oh, hell no, I didn't.
Okay.
Families used to not break up because of this.
No,
Correct.
so you've said everything that I wanted to hear, meaning you and your party are not agreeing.
Nor should
I can
we
solve a lot of the problems that we're having with trying to solve transparency. Here it is. Have your little mini conversations. Come to a podcast, and let's talk about
100%.
5 things and how the Republican Party
that would be phenomenal.
differs on things. And I'm hearing stuff from these group of people, not because they're Republicans or Democrats, but because they're saying things that are painful. I've seen their utility bills. I've seen that they believe that utility bills will continue going up because of data centers, because Centerpoint's going
something different.
Centerpoint's prioritizing data center power because they pay in big chunks. They're not fighting amongst the little people. They will prioritize the energy to whoever will pay the most. They are a for-profit company. That's going to happen.
Well,
my only point is how Republicans can solve this problem is acknowledge that people are thinking that and seeing that and wondering that, and you guys should be the ones that are actually saying we have to acknowledge that these people are concerned. I can't solve your problem, but I can hear your problem, and I can. The next time I have a conversation with somebody over here, now I've got not just one person, I've got 100 people that are saying, yeah, that's kind of concerning me too because this, and this. Like, that's how you get more intelligent to give people what they want, not the party what they want, not wherever the donors are coming from. Give me the ears that you're going to listen as a party, and you're going to move in a direction.
We are bad at any other organization. Doesn't matter if you're a business, a church, a nonprofit. You have to establish good communication. You have to start unifying things. Trump did a magical thing when he broadened the tent. He grabbed everybody. You could be straight, you could be gay, you could be black, you could be Latino, you could be a business owner, a millionaire, a billionaire, impoverished, a union worker. It didn't matter who you were. He made you believe that you were part of something greater than you as a single individual, and that you were going to accomplish something. He captured a dream. And we are not good at, you know what he did? Was the most amazing thing he did? He took some of his staunchest critics in his own party and he turned them into allies like that. And then he did the unthinkable. He grabbed people from the left because they were good at what they did and said, I need you because I need you to challenge me constantly. And he was open to challenge. This is why both establishment, the establishment on both sides of the party hate him, because he shakes the box up and he doesn't do what is expected. He does exactly the opposite. It is unthinkable that RFK would be in the position he is in. It's unthinkable that Tulsi Gabbard would be in the position she was in. That is never something that you would.
It's ironic that the Democrats were fighting the other Democrats from trying to get into his cabinet. I found that the most interesting.
When they loved him,
they were eating each other. They were eating each other.
Oh yeah, the snake eats a tail. But
Tulsi Gabbard was basically a leader in the Democratic Party.
I know. I mean, it's insane.
But she was the heir apparent to the female president, military background.
She's amazing. She's an amazing individual. But what we need to do here, and what's hard, and I'm going to defend them a little bit. It's very hard.
He's waiting a long time to defend.
Well, because you keep chiming in.
It's true. You haven't said anything.
It's very, very hard to align lots of people who have lots of legitimate grievances.
Right.
It's very challenging to get these people to set those aside for a common good. And it takes an extraordinary message to do it. I think we're searching for the message. I think that's all we're looking for. We're searching for the message. And it's not that Kyle's not doing a good job. It's not that Dottie's not the amazing person that she is, because she is fucking amazing. She does an unbelievable one. The things that she does behind the scenes that nobody knows to help our party, to help individuals, to reach out to people. She's amazing.
I'm going to push back so hard on you right now.
The things that people do.
I'm going to push back so hard.
The things that people do. Oh, bring it.
I'm loving it.
Bring it.
Keep going.
The things that people are doing to try and get the party. Kyle is energizing and creating space for the young Republicans in a way that hasn't been done in a very, very long time. Those are really great things. And we're seeing it show up. The problem is we don't have that universal message, that universal lightning rod that everyone's attracted to and everyone wants to follow. Because the party itself can't be that. The party itself is the tent. Someone's got to be at the pulpit. You don't have a revival until you have a preacher at the pulpit. You have a great big tent that no one's showing up to, or everyone's taught. Have you ever been in? I grew up in a little Baptist school. They had a revival.
I didn't. That's the first I've heard of this one. This is a good one.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I was the bad influence. So, the bad influence. There's this whole set of rules, Joe rules.
Rules.
Oh, I supposedly grew up in.
Do we need to pause for a minute?
Catholic, so.
Do you need another cube or anything?
Oh,
we're having a good chat.
So,
I know, but
you go into this revival. They set them up in a parking lot. And you have this great big tent.
Leap of faith, baby.
Oh, 100%. It is. I love that movie. I love that movie for lots of reasons. Organized religion and I have a complicated relationship.
Is that Whoopi?
I could be part of that.
No, it's not. That's Steve Martin.
Yeah, Steve Martin. It's really good.
I own that movie. I just watched it not long ago. So you have these groups of people, and the loudest people in the tent are the deacons. They're all surrounded by the little cliquey people that they talk to. And someone's at the pulpit going, "Attention everybody, attention everybody, attention everybody." And no one listens to a damn thing that person says. They ignore them until the revival pastor that's visiting comes in and goes, "Hey!" And everyone goes, "Bible's here." And they get excited.
Or if Charlie Kirk walked in the room, everybody, if he was like, "I got something to say," everyone.
It wasn't always that way, though.
No, it wasn't.
He worked hard for that.
He had to, but it was a process to get there.
Influence is earned in that space.
Yeah, 100%.
But that's what we have to do. We have to get the revival pastor at the pulpit. That's what has to happen. We have to create the lightning rod that gets everybody excited. That's what has to happen. And we don't have it yet. And it's not their fault. That has nothing to do with them.
Okay, so, all right. I've heard you say it a couple times, and you are defending them, and I think that was a pretty good defense. I'm going to counter with saying, I think I come up with pretty good questions, and I think I have concerns that I'm trying to hear people on both sides
Sure.
and not get too political. you know how many people from leadership of the party and have asked me, like, what questions do you think are important questions that we need to answer better? I'm also a marketing person. I've owned a marketing company for over 20, like almost 20 years.
Absolutely.
There's a branding problem that could be solved with just doing the transparent right thing, which is listening to people that maybe don't identify right or left, but they see the left is way too left right now. And I just want some common sense and some critical thinking and some, like, I want to be known. Like, if my website falls to crap, I can't make any money anymore. I just want to know that somebody's trying to answer the question that I have looming in my head, and they can give me with some kind of answer to, we see you, here's where we're heading, here's where we think we need to tweak, and then I can audit that and say, okay, well, it's my job then to tweak at this moment. Like, we need to fix this policy right here because this is what I'm most passionate about. And
that's what the complication of the party is. They have no control over policy. They are only the tent. They do not actually control anything.
They don't have to.
They can't, even if they wanted to.
No,
they can only control how the party operates. That's why the party and I occasionally are in conflict, which is fine. The party leadership and I are in conflict, which is healthy. I think both sides of that equation would admit that.
I think the Democrats aren't fractional enough. Like,
no, they're not.
It's all like, this is the new doctrine, and this is what,
it's because
you get in or you're going to get kicked out.
But it's because that's how they win. They get everybody in a group think, because if you're not kind,
it's emotional.
If you're not kind, it's all emotions. Does it feel good for you? Do you remember Kamala?
Joe asked that really mean question.
Oh yeah, we don't like him. He's so mean.
No mean.
One of the things that made me literally gag and vomit in my mouth at the exact same time, I call it vomiting, was when I heard Kamala Harris was running a vibes campaign. I literally pulled my car to the side road and thought I might be volatilistically ill. I did. I swear to you that happened.
Is that a recent thing?
No, it was when she ran in for office for president. We're running a vibes campaign, and it's before they let her talk. They didn't let her talk to anyone about anything.
Yeah, she's not the best idea they could.
She's not on today. Today's not today.
No,
Today's not the one.
No, she can't do it. Limited salads on 10 today. But that's the problem. And to your point, invite them on. These are very intelligent people.
We do, but they don't come.
Well, maybe they need.
They're invited right now.
Maybe
you know every single one of them.
I will read
this clip will be.
Please.
Out in the data sphere.
I hope that you
please
take it,
provide them with the clip.
Put it on. And
it's not that I want to be the one that's...
Because you're not going to try and gotcha them.
No.
That's not how you guys are.
No.
You've never done that to me. And we've had some
We want to take the big questions.
Vibrant camp.
We want to take concerns from all sides. And we want people just to feel like they're being heard. But you have to be reasonable. You have to be civil. You have to be willing to just have an honest conversation.
Like if
you're just barking...
Bring the Republican side on, though, if you bring the Republican leadership on, you should absolutely invite the Democratic side on.
I've invited every person.
I think that it's very important that they both have an equal opportunity to talk about their platforms and their positions. I think that's very fair. I want to make sure that everyone understands that. I don't want anyone to think that you're either hammering the Republicans or trying to advantage them.
No, I'm going to call you on all kinds of shit, dude.
Dude, please.
I mean,
by all means.
It's happening. And you come back, which is actually pretty impressive.
100%. But one of the reasons that I had so many registered Democrats vote for me in the last election is because I had conversations just like this. They'd ask me really hard questions, say, what do you think about XYZ? What do you think about climate change and our parks and our dog park and all the other things that they wanted to talk about? And every single one of them had a reason. And I would ask them, tell me why the parks are important to you. Because when I was a kid, my grandmother took me there. And it's special to me. And it is something that I don't want to see go away. And once it's gone, it'll never come back. That wasn't something that was on my radar at first. But I listened to that conversation multiple times from these people when they go and walk, and it reminds them of their grandmother. And they go and they do things in there. They take their grandkids there, and they play baseball there. And I'm thinking, you know what? These are actually city assets. These are legacy assets the city, generational legacy assets that the city possesses, that once they're gone, we really won't get them back. How do we preserve this, and how do we, in a very fiscally responsible way, manage these assets, just like any other asset? And we have not treated them as assets in a very, very long time. So when I would say these things, and I would come up with the strategic partnership plan that would leverage our corporate citizens to help us manage and maintain our parks and our common spaces, people loved that. they said, that's a great idea. Why aren't we doing that now? I said, I don't know. I have no idea why we're not doing that now, but perhaps no one's thought of it. You said it was important to you. I put some thought into it, and this is how I would do it if it was a business, and that's how you do it. And they said, we love you. We want you to win. I had people.
Well, it's not even that idea is a winning, the winning idea, as much as I'm willing to. Here's an idea. Let's have a conversation about it. Let's take these things and move towards a direction that we can all agree on in some way.
The way you create a relationship with somebody is you find the common ground on which you exist, and then you start pushing into the fringes of it and understand. Here's where 80% of every person, we have commonality. When you just sit down and take away the emotion, we're very common individuals in our community.
I'd say 10% is the kind of the outlier.
Yeah, 10% on the other side.
90% of us, we can agree to disagree.
Yeah, there's
or
10% on the other side. But the 80% in the middle, 75, 70, 85% is pretty universally wanting very safe city. We want to reduce crime. We want public safety. We want good roads so our businesses succeed. And we want to lower our energy rates. Those are our big top three. That's it. And if we get that, then we can focus on other things. And when I started talking about that and honing down to those three things, it didn't matter what side of the aisle they were on. They wanted to talk about those three things because it impacted them every single solitary day. Now, there were some crazy questions, and I loved those too, and it was fun. But those were the three things. When you boil it down to the three most important things, that's what that mattered to them. And we started having conversations, and that's why those people voted for me. Now, if you can get that to happen, if you can create those conversational moments and get people on the record addressing those conversational topics, that is going to be, you got something there. That is something that will advance not politicians. It makes life difficult for politicians. It advances the community. Because you're voicing community.
You're not running for anything. I want to vote for you just based on what you just said.
But it becomes the advocacy for the community. You're holding these people accountable, putting them on record so the community can make it an informed decision. That's a magical thing. I don't care what side of the ticket you're on at all. In today's world, JFK would be a pretty far-right Republican. In today's world, Bill Clinton's a Republican, by the way.
That's crazy.
In today's world, first-term Obama's a Republican.
Well, and you know, my thing, I'm always like, I'm not a Republican or a Democrat. I just see people falling in line with party stuff. So this is where I'm always going to push back. It's the ideology
of the religion that is
it's so, you know, for those that you're not following a religion, you don't have, like everyone has some religion. They just don't know what religion they're in. And like, I have a real problem with just saying, I'm this, I'm that. I'm like, tell me the thing that you're talking about. I don't care what you're identifying as in any capacity. Let's just talk about the topic. Mm-hmm. Come back to the middle of what do we agree on? And like what I think Trump did without, again, I got a lot of things to say bad about him because he says a lot of stupid things, but like he said things that people that were independent thinking, populist ideas that the Republican Party was offended by because it wasn't, leaning to their narrative and their policies. Same on the other side, like all people hated him. The biggest reason I love Trump is because most people hated him. Like people on both sides hated him to a TDS level that we now have a syndrome named after Trump derangement syndrome. Like
this guy literally
I don't like him, but he's saying the things that no one else is hearing. Like you won't listen to, this is a problem. Immigration is one of those, right? And it's a lightning rod. And I'm not saying one way or another, like we're making it political, and it really shouldn't be political. It should be citizens that care about the country having a logical debate, coming to a general policy that both people on both sides can say, that's reasonable.
I saw this in the Courier Press this week. They put out this really emotional, heartstringy piece about this guy being detained and picked up and sent to a... I read this. I literally read this whole thing, and I put together this very detailed rebuttal, and I didn't bother posting it. Because
they're paid for by pharma and a few corporations.
All they did was create emotional drivel that has nothing to do with facts, the law, or the universe in which we exist. The reality in which we exist has nothing to do with that article.
It's narrative control. It's all that it is.
I think everyone in this room and everyone that's a decent human being can say, you know what, it is extremely disturbing and sad when a family is altered in a way, when someone is taken back to wherever it is. That's awful. That is awful. And I think everyone in this room can also say our immigration system is not what it needs to be. For a country our size, for the technology that we have, we should be able to fast track people who want to be here and be productive citizens of the United States.
I'm going to throw something really offensive out there. You shouldn't be able to open and close a border without rules in any capacity.
No, you shouldn't. And
in
fact, you shouldn't be able to do that at all.
I'm not a Republican or Democrat. You shouldn't do that. Democrats agreed with that 10, 20 years ago.
Bill Clinton, Obama.
All of them agreed
Hillary
that you
Clinton,
can't have an open border. You can't have an open border until you can. Okay, tell us why. Tell us why now we can when we weren't able to do it.
I was talking with a state rep this week.
Stupid.
Actually. I was literally talking to him this week about this article and about when Lindsey Graham passed. And one of the people in my line of business, they made a Facebook post that I found to be, and he also found to be, extremely offensive, talking about how Lindsey Graham was. By the way, if you celebrate someone's death, you are the community excrement of. You're just community excrement. You don't belong.
We are friends on Facebook.
Oh. Yeah. But we need to have a certain level of civility. And I looked, and I could go into that post and look at every single thing this person said that he did that was awful. And I agree with every single thing that he did. And so do, by the way, the vast majority of the Democrats that exist in the House and Senate today, as did Obama. So the fact that this person, just because they have a particular foundation they're part of and a particular thing they try and accomplish.
I disagreed with him a lot. Never disrespected him.
No, absolutely not. I would never, when Obama passes away, when President Obama passes away, I'm not going to jump up and down, enjoy. I'm going to be like, you know what? This person meant a lot to a lot of people. He symbolized a lot to a lot of people. He broke ground in a way that I don't care at all about identity politics. I'm a merit-based guy. It is nice that ceiling is broken.
Yeah, sure.
Great.
We can all agree on that.
Yeah. Historically significant.
Move on. We agree.
Move on.
Yes.
I think that the Republican side of the equation will never celebrate a death like that. And if they do, I don't want to talk to that person. I don't want to be associated with that human being. We should never celebrate a death. And we should remember what that person did to contribute positively to society. Obama did things that were positive. There were things he did that were positive. There was a lot that wasn't, that I disagree completely. And I bet if he was sitting right there, I'd probably have great conversations with him.
I would enjoy watching that.
I would love it myself, but I would probably like him as a human being. I probably would. I think that we get so wrapped up in the cult of political ideology that we can no longer view people as people anymore. And it's disgusting. So when I saw that post, and I saw this person should be, they're looking up at us from, they're looking up at us and not looking down at that kind of disgusting commentary has no business in our society. My larger point is we've got to stop being so adherent to the monolithic nonsense that is the Republican Party or the Democratic Party, because those people do not have our best interests in mind. If you create a platform that actually represents the community and holds leaders to task for the community and gets them on record so that the community can then make informed decisions on how they want to have the community led, that will be transformative. And I really hope that you do it. I hope that you follow through on that.
Well, I mean, this conversation right now is a pledge to what I've been working on when I'm not doing other things.
I'm very excited.
Travis and I talk a lot. He's got a full-time job. He's fully committed to everything he's doing. No, he really does. This is after hours, by the way. We are recording at 7:15 at night.
7:15.
Big Brother After Dark.
Big Brother After Dark is going to be reporting on what's Travis doing right now.
Drinking.
So I guess the moral of this is I truly want a united country, but more importantly, I want a united community. And I want a united community that doesn't, we're not in a fight of right versus left, because our founders didn't think right versus left was a good idea. Like it's just not a good idea to draw lines in the sand and say, this is who we are and this is who we are.
And if you're over here, you can't
agree with them. If you agree with them, you're excommunicated. You're done.
And that's biggest challenge.
That's
Look
where we've been.
John Fetterman
it's
right now.
everything where we've been for the last 6 years.
Look at John Fetterman right now.
And we are still doing that locally in Evansville, Indiana.
We're doing it.
No, we're doing it right now.
Badly
right now.
They
so
do it all the time.
here's my pledge. Here's my ask. anybody that wants to give money to a cause, all I want is people to come apart from our local politics, right, left, whatever, and agree to talk about an agreed upon number of topics and agree to have civil conversations in short form, no gotchas, just honest
You
conversations.
guys have never been aggressive or gotcha.
No.
That's just not how you guys are put together.
I don't even want to say it's not about me. I want other people doing it. It's not about him. It's not about this podcast. We have to do it. We have to do it now because we're arguing about data centers are bad because of this and block is this and I'm concerned and fearful and afraid. So now I'm distracted over here for the next 6 days or a month.
But it's distracting you from actually making an informed decision.
I needed the smartest people.
Did we care that I about lost my tire on Petersburg earlier?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my
roads.
gosh.
Are we going to talk about roads? That's so boring, dude.
My bad. Sorry.
Do we need money for roads? No, we can't do that. Roads are
no.
boring.
Sorry.
we
Just
want
keep
solar
spending,
panels
keep
instead.
spending money we don't have.
Roads.
So my question is, and I almost put this out there and it was so interesting. I don't know why. I'm probably going to do it. Why do we not, if we have all this money socked away in the Evansville water sewer utility that we can use as our own little piggy bank for the city, why aren't we using that to fix the roads?
Or the $1 billion in debt that we're currently at.
Pause right here.
Skip that.
That was the question. Say the question again and then pause right here. You didn't pause already, did you?
No, I haven't paused.
Say the question again. We're going to take a quick
If
pause.
we have all this money living in the Evansville water sewer utility that we can borrow against, why aren't we using these millions, tens, hundreds of millions of dollars at our disposal to fix the roads that we have and then pay that back instead of solar panel nonsense?
We'll be right back.
So
on
when we
that
come
one.
back, are we going to?
We'll be right back on that one.
Same bad time, same bad channel?
Yeah.
Okay. Welcome back, everybody. Hey. Just had a little refill. You know,
Drinks to refresh.
Yeah.
I'm the only one that went to the bathroom, by the way.
Yeah, no, I don't. But the question that we posed, I believe, or that Joe had posed was, if we have all this money in the Evansville water and sewer utility, why we're not using it to fix things or pay down debt? Joe, do you have an answer to that?
I really wish I did. I want to find out why we're not doing that. If we have tens of millions of bankable dollars sitting in the Evansville water sewer utility that we can use for pet projects like solar on top of municipal buildings. And by the way, I'm not totally against solar on top of municipal buildings. I'm totally against the taxpayer paying for solar on top of municipal buildings. We don't need to be doing that, adding more expense and cost on a project that is absolutely not going to have an ROI in 5 years.
Or at least should we vote on it? At least maybe.
They would not ever let that happen.
Well, I know
because
that.
people would
I understand that, but at least
people would 100% say no because they don't want to pay more money for things. And by the way, who's paying the interest on the loan from the Evansville water sewer utility? It's going to be the city, and that's going to directly trickle down right to us.
Yeah, because city doesn't make money. No city makes money.
No. And by the way, when you have this quote, let's put our rose-colored glasses on for a moment and agree in this fantasy world. Perfect.
Oh, wait, I do need to change.
Oh, do you need to change? Here you
What
go.
time is it?
I just still, it's
7:36.
No, I still got some light in the sky.
Oh,
We assume, for whatever reason,
And
that
my
this
rose-colored
actually
glasses.
is a 5-year pay down. They are
Give me those,
absolutely
bastard.
not going to put that money back in our pockets. Our
No.
taxes will not go down. They're just going to
No.
deploy it to other useless things that are stupid.
Yeah.
So my issue is, why are we doing this, first of all, for a project that nobody in the city of Evansville cares about, except for a handful of people that don't realize that this is a 20-year payout because of the place we live and the geography in which we exist. And for 6 months out of the year, we have less than 8 hours of sunlight on a great, perfect day. That's just not how this operates. Anyone who has solar understands this. Now, take away all those things. Back to the original question, why aren't we using what appears to be bankable dollars in the tens of millions to do simple things like fix roads? That's a question that our city leadership needs to answer. If we have bankable dollars, let's actually put it to use for the maximum amount of people that we have. That's what I would propose.
I think you started that question, Joe, and I 100% agree with everything you just said in that. I hope this clip and reel shows up. My thing would take that one step further, meaning we feel we have to have private corporations coming up with these plans to give us the things that we want, and we need to thank them and pay them and whatever. My only point in heading this conversation would be thinking about where the sovereignty actually falls. Like if we're trying to take care of our community, our county, our city, our individuals within that city, we need to quit being pawns in a negotiation. Sovereignty, to me, at a city, county, regional, state level, is we need to be negotiating like we are a union of people in this area, and we have a seat at this table. And we think that if we're having energy policy and directives and agreeing with this company to do that, that instead of ABC company that could bring funding in from all over the planet, we as a state, as a region, as a city, as a county, we should be in the process of negotiating these deals. Like, it needs to be self-serving. You know how Trump says really something really bad?
They are.
Make America great again. We need to make our area great again. Start as close to what we can control as we can, and build the policy and the agreements at that level. And if you have a fight to that, it's probably because you're either lobbied or earning money from big money that wants to take money and insert it and create policy.
Always look for the motivation. Where's the money flow? It's like
really
water.
Conspiracy theory laden.
So I have two questions to follow up on our initial one. Why in the world, when we are raising water rates and sewer rates in the city of Evansville, do they have tens of millions of dollars sitting in the bank? Why the hell do they have all this cash sitting there that it's apparently bankable in the form of tens of millions of dollars? That's the bigger issue. I want to understand that question. Why are you taxing us and raising rates when you have tens of millions of bankable dollars sitting there apparently in a bank account?
Whose duty is it to pay our debt off? Whose duty is that? Who's that follow?
It's the city of Evansville's responsible.
I would say
it's the
the
leadership
mayor.
of Evansville.
The mayor ultimately is responsible.
The mayor
making
forms a
that.
budget. The mayor submits a budget to city council approves the budget.
But actually, the budget was handed to the mayor. Let's be honest.
Initially,
yeah, but we're in
She's
much more debt now than we're in much more debt now than we were when she started.
oh, by far.
Yeah, I think this is a great conversation. What I'm trying to get to is the question is, we all hear we are in debt. We all hear all these things.
We're over.
What is
billion and a half.
we are?
Whoa, where'd the half come from?
How can we take the community going where it's going with the directives that we have and turn that around? Because what people don't understand locally is when you're running on no money and actually in debt, you're pulling services out of the community, which are our roads that are falling in upon themselves. That's not the current mayor's fault. She didn't create that. So this is my defense of her. But she didn't create bad roads. There was a vacuum there that was happening that we need to fix. And I don't care whose fault it was necessarily. I want to see why it happened and figure out how we're going to stop it from getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. Like, we have to stop that.
The issue
And it's just a real conversation.
And that's 100%. So let's assume, for the sake of argument, that I was the mayor. Let's assume that. For just the sake of argument.
That's a strange assumption.
It's a strange assumption. But let's
move on,
That's a big stretch, but here, let's go.
Do you think for 1 second I'm going to say, well, guys, here's the deal. I inherited these problems, so I really can't do anything about these problems. We're just kind of stuck with
Somebody else's fault.
So it's somebody else's fault, so I'm going to focus on building lily pad somewhere. No. Hell no.
Yeah.
I'm going to leverage every fiscal tool, every instrument at my disposal, and I'm going to create some. We're going to invent solutions to get to yes and how we fix the most basic things in our city so that we can grow our city. You can't build a house without a foundation. And our foundation, our roads and infrastructure are crumbling. And as to Travis's point, has gotten much worse in the last 3 years. It's gotten much worse because it's been neglected. And the work that's being done is being done poorly. It's being planned poorly. It's damaging our businesses. Every single solitary day, every week, we're seeing some new business closing, whether it's a restaurant, whether it's family businesses.
A couple restaurants just closed.
Yeah.
That I just heard about today.
It's really disheartening. And it's because things are way more expensive. Electricity and utilities are extremely expensive. Water to utility rates keep going up. Grease traps are now becoming more expensive. You've got electricity is more expensive, and no one's doing anything but building splash pads in parks.
So you just brought that up.
And they're taking away pools where kids actually used to go and learn how to swim.
Oh, my daughter was on the swim team, and she was supposed to practice at Lorraine, and that was down all summer.
Yeah. Harkey Pool looks like a big cesspool.
What was the one over near the Lloyd? Oh, was that Harkey? That was Harkey. Okay, yeah.
Yes,
that was a really nice looking pool.
It's very, very sad.
Yeah.
I grew up at these pools. I grew up as a poor kid swimming in these pools, learning how to swim. I was on a swim team for the city. I loved that. Now we have splash pads where people hang out for 15 minutes, get cold, and go home. They're not learning how to swim.
We're building Indiana's largest one up on Northwest Avenue, by the way. But anyway, you brought up grease traps, so I just
Yes.
want to. I don't know the answer to this, so I'm just going to pose it to you. Where are we with that? Is it still kind of
It's
just in
going to
a
be privatized,
limbo?
I think.
Where,
Justin Elpers is doing a really good job with that.
I did know that.
He's going to privatize it, I believe, and there's a plan in place to try and offset that. And it's going to cost more. Long story short, it's going to cost more because we
but
mismanaged
it's probably not going to cost more to have to take it to the next location.
No, it's going to cost not as much as that. But we've just grossly mismanaged an asset, and now the asset is too far gone, and now we're having to create a different solution, which is going to be more costly when we didn't have to do any of that if we just take care of what we
Side question, I just don't answer it. I just want to put this in the video. When did that decision happen? How was it wrong that moved us in a bad direction, and why didn't we fix it? Counterpoint. I just want to come back to that. I want that anchored in. We need to figure out why that happened. I don't want to blame anybody. Yeah. I just want to
I don't like to blame
what decision did we make, and how can we learn from it?
At some point, the most important infrastructure pieces to the city have kind of gone to the wayside. I said, so we had this conversation just a couple of days ago. I said to feel good projects, and you say, what is there to feel good about? And you were kind of right, but I mean, and I couldn't come up with a good feel good project, but I feel like money's being taken away from the core infrastructure to do things that maybe aren't as needed, or things that we just have to tighten the belt. I mean, if I'm broke and I have to try to pay my debt, I'm not going to open another credit card. Like,
you get rid of Netflix, you travel.
You tighten the belt, you cut
austerity.
the fat.
Margaret Thatcher did this very, very well. She knew when she came into office, I don't know how many people know about Margaret Thatcher, but she was Prime Minister of Britain. She was amazing, and she was a hard ass. She and Ronald Reagan had an amazing relationship. When she came into office, she was opposed by damn near every single man in the British Parliament. They hated her because she was no nonsense. She was a capitalist, and she believed in capitalist principles, and she wanted to take her country into the new era. Really, really, really ambitious, especially for a woman at that time. Not only did she accomplish all those things, but she became a dominating figure in the worldscape. She and Ronald Reagan led, in no small part, the fall of the Russian Communist Party. They were incredible. The first part of her tenure as Prime Minister, she, against all recommendations, started socking away coal, started warehousing tons and tons and tons and tons of coal. And people were like, why are you doing that? She's like, I just need to do that. Why are you doing that? I just want to make sure we have plenty of reserves. I want to build up the national reserve of coal. And she paid a lot of money to sock away this coal. And you know what? It's because she knew in the next year that the unions hated her so much because they wanted these exorbitant changes that would have cost the taxpayers in Britain and damn near bankrupt the country. She knew that she was going to have to put back enough supply to keep the country operating and running to outlast the union. And she did. She broke them with help from Ronald Reagan. She broke them and saved the country from a depression that they may never have come out of. That's the type of leadership we need to have. She put that country through austerity measures in a way that saved them from a total eclipse of their future potential.
Sometimes you got to cut the leg off to save the body, right?
100%. And she realized that. And she did the things that were necessary against every single popular opinion at the time. And now history remembers her as a heroine. She saved Britain from economic collapse at a time when it was really on the precipice, and it was hard, and it was against the tide of every single popular opinion in that country. But she found an ally in Ronald Reagan, and they pulled through. Now, we are in a very similar position. Our city is outspending what we're bringing in, even though we are assessing taxes and real estate taxes at higher rates than we've ever done in the history of our city. We are making more money through real estate assessments. I don't know if you guys have felt that pain. Your property taxes were reassessed, not taxes raised, but the value. It's a fun little game they play. Well, we can't raise taxes because the state said you can only do X amount over time. True. But they said nothing about reassessing the value of your house. So what a house that was once 150 is now 200. And
I want you to keep going. Preach to the choir, but I am the most anti-property tax person you'll ever see. I want them abolished. We can have a whole other conversation there.
I can't wait till Florida abolishes property taxes because we shouldn't pay rent on property.
Show what it looks like.
Use that as a model.
Good.
Yeah, go ahead.
My home has doubled in value in 8 years.
Yeah, try and sell it for that.
Try and sell it for that.
And buy something at what you think that money is worth, and carry that on. Like take your what $220,000 you might get out of whatever the
Yeah,
number.
I bought it for like $113. I bet it's worth about $2.
Try to take the 220 right. Take the 220 right now and buy something that much better.
Oh, no, you don't come out ahead.
You're like
You'll buy the exact same house you have.
a little better.
If I kept my payment,
maybe
I would have to buy a worse house to keep.
Yeah, you would because of the interest rate.
Yeah.
Which is a whole nother argument to make.
Well, that's a big argument you can make where some lending institutions have talked about trying to bring your rate with you just to get some movement, some fluctuation.
That's where I think an actual we need a local banking that we can have sovereignty. We can actually take the money that we are generating locally. We can invest back into our community without looking at.
You say sovereignty, but that's the wrong term. What you're looking for is
it's my term for what
people misunderstand what governance actually is. And when you say the word governance, and I had this conversation with somebody about a non-profit that I work with all the time. It's a really near and dear nonprofit. I won't mention its name, but I had this conversation with another board member, and we were talking about governance and what that means to everybody on the board. We need to understand what governance means to every single voter and create a common understanding for the voters of our community. This is what governance means, and this is what your involvement in the governing process is. These are your rights. As a voter, you can challenge everything, and you should. Every question that you have has merit. I don't care how out of left field that might be. It is the responsibility and obligation of a civic leader to respond.
We're in the right field actually right now.
Right over here.
We're in the right field over here. But no. I had a quick question. You had brought up property taxes and everything. Mm-hmm. Something just recently passed where we're now not getting as much money from property taxes as we were, correct?
SB1.
Yeah, SB1. So that passed.
But that's not true. They've only limited how fast they can raise taxes.
So
the impact that they said, well, we'll lose all that. We
won everything.
We got real drunk on COVID dollars. When COVID happened, the federal government poured money.
We paid for this bourbon. Thank you very much.
Yeah, they poured money into every community.
I looked at buying a business that was only solvent because of COVID money.
Yeah,
my accountant looked at it. He's like, no, you don't want to buy that.
Yeah, no, but they poured money.
Buying a nightmare.
Yeah, and we wound up. It's like buying a house with 4 bedrooms or buying a car with heated seats. Do you ever want to go back to a car without heated seats? No.
Heated steering wheel actually is the thing.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's a big one. But you don't want to go backwards. You never go backwards. Once your lifestyle gets to here, how hard is it to bring it back down to here?
But that's what somebody's going to have to do for the city.
Yes, it is. And no one's going to like it. It means cutting entitlement programs back to serving only the people that is absolutely necessary. Mm-hmm. It means requiring the non-profits that you do give money to show verifiable metrics that they are improving the society and the community, not just handing it out like it's free money. Mm-hmm. It means actually enabling capitalism to advantage the consumer, because that's the very job of capitalism, is to advantage the consumer, not to advantage the government. Government is a monopoly. Government wants to protect the monopoly. We see that with Centerpoint right now. If we give control back, which is what I hope you do with this project you're working on, to the community, I think you will see a dynamic change in a lot of different spaces that are unpredictable, one of which will be how we treat the government and how we feel we're governed. We have become so lopsided because they've made us believe, and I talked about this several times, they made us believe that they're the ultimate decision makers. They know better than all of us. They're dad and mom. They can't be questioned. What they say is just always right.
Why are mom and dad fighting again?
And you know what the long story short of that is? They don't know a damn thing more than what we do.
They're behind us, actually.
They may have access to certain information, but they should be sharing that information so that they can get the best experts in any particular field together and create the best solution for the community, not for them.
They're trying to create a cohesive narrative, which takes time, you have to have an idea that's supporting the bigger idea that's going to bring you money, and that needs to get out to enough people to where they can then circle back around and give you the narrative that protects your idea. Where I'm very AI positive, and I think that if we as communities work together with people that we trust and in most capacities, like if I ask you a question, I feel like you're being real, that we can communicate locally and have more rapid response rather than listening to national narratives and why we need to be making emotional decisions on trans issues or what clothes my kid might or might not wear, or what religion is good or bad. We need a honing beacon that we can all go to locally and talk about the issues that are steering us from our house our backyard, our neighbors, our acreage, or wherever we have, like we need to have an overlapping conversation. And it's not about politics. Like politics are bigger than like outside of Evansville. I think it's politics. I think all we're talking about is what's best for the people. How can we protect ourselves from the crazy shit that's going out in the communities, the data centers, the technology, like it's all kind of coming in on us. A lot of people are concerned and scared about that. I want to use technology to not just combat the real bad narratives, but to make his life better, make your life better. Mm-hmm. We need to make better farms, create better soil, like have better policy that promotes the things that are good and healthy to us at the most local level. Like reverse engineering the national narrative to bring it to the Republican Party or the Democratic Party, who can fight over topics rather than here's why Donald Trump is bad. Here's why you shouldn't listen to this person because they're the whatever the thing is ist. Don't listen to them because they're an ist.
It's that monolithic principle of adhering to the doctrine of a particular church or religion, and they've made politics a religion, and that's absurd. It's absolutely absurd. It removes all ability for critical thinking and questioning authority. And that's the very definition of how our country came to be. We questioned authority over us, and we rejected it. So, that being said, every single thing, whether it's AI, whether it's data centers, it's a tool, and it's all dependent on how we use it. And our government has forgotten that they're asking questions of how to make government and more successful in managing things and creating activity to get more money to manage those things. They've forgotten that they actually need to do what's best for the community, period. They are not addressing community need any longer. They're addressing government need. How does the government sustain itself? Not how does the community become better? And that's the biggest problem we have at the local level.
We as a community are drowning. What happens when we get so far in debt? Can a city declare bankruptcy?
Cities do. Detroit did.
Oh, I guess.
Who's going to force us to pay something back? And what is the punishment? Is what it comes down to. And how long is it going to get through the court systems for us to actually have to?
We have got to be near that horizon line.
But look at the country. I don't know that that's true because the country is
coming. There will be
something doesn't change. This next election next year.
This is the good tension question that I don't necessarily agree with. I'm playing the devil's advocate. Like most people, like money doesn't matter. Just keep doing whatever you're doing and fund the programs because these people need to not be on the street or all these things.
And that feels good. Let's keep
going. Keep going. Let's not worry about the numbers. We got a bigger credit card. Somebody just offered us more money with a new credit card.
We've got a 0% interest credit card coming. Boom.
More credit card. Bang, bang, all credit cards.
Can you roll $1 billion over onto a zero interest credit card?
Like
we're about to, I'm sure.
This is a very unpopular convergence of narratives, meaning everything feel good right now going on in both parties is money is not even an issue. And that's where you get caught in for some people, you're just a conservative and you don't want to spend money because
how dare I want to pay the bills?
How dare you want to whatever? Because they don't understand.
Provide a future for your kids.
They don't understand how it makes the roads bad, Travis. They don't understand how it makes everything that's not working right bad around us. It's all disjointed. Nothing connects to each other. Nothing's paying for anything. And we're just having conversations that don't mean anything until you lock in on the questions that need to be answered. You have transparency on the people that say, I have a potential solution. Joe might not have the right potential solution. He might take his potential solution, add it with this other person out in the sphere that's afraid to talk to him because it's politics. And they might be able to make the best freaking solution that we could ever think about.
100%.
But our local politicians and apparatuses of both parties won't fucking allow it. It's really annoying. Like, just let the thing happen. Let people talk to people. If you, as a Democratic Party chair,
they don't want you.
I don't care who they are. I'm not catering to who they are.
Sure.
Who are we in this community that wants things to be better? Don't identify as a party. Let's quit talking about that. Do you care about the roads being bad? Yes or no?
100%.
Some people will.
100%.
People that just stay in their homes mostly and don't travel to the other side of town, they don't hit the bumps every day. They're not taking their kids to school and like, oh, ouch,
I think
I'm
I
sorry.
lost a tire. I can't believe my tires.
Some people just don't care about that, Joe. They just don't care. Well, they take an Uber everywhere they go. Or they're really rich and they have a nicer road going into wherever they go. Like, it doesn't really matter. You have to pick the topic You have to unify people on fixing the roads, fixing the thing. Political parties are important. I get it locally, but
it's the tent
let's
by
solve
which
the
you
problems.
create the opportunity to listen.
Which tent is solving the problems?
Neither's doing a good job of it.
Right now, nobody. That's
the ultimate question.
That's why you need.
That's why we are trying to create the questions.
That's why you have the revival. You get the person in there that energizes the crowd to get them to do the thing.
It's not the person. It's organized.
You have to have
energy. It's people that are paying attention to a topic that they care about, and they know why it's important because they understand, they've read, how everything works in our communities we have to work together to solve problems.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what we need to build.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's very important. If you can build a platform that brings, it's an interesting project because right now we have platforms for political leaders to spout their ideologies and their nonsense. We don't
Parroting
have
other things
any platform for the community to stand on and say,
nothing
this
unified.
is what we want.
You have a Facebook forum. Randomly, you're in a Posey County data center forum, or you're in a whatever.
But that's only one issue.
No, that's what I'm saying. People are trying to get engaged. And I think there are real people because they're showing up at these meetings in communities. And some of them are good. I think a lot of the questions that are now coming, I think we're getting energy from both sides of the spectrum.
I agree.
So we have to tap into there's going to be crazy people on either side. You got to eliminate the narrative there and come together and actually listen to people in the middle.
I agree.
So I think the idea that me and Travis have been talking about is trying to capture the energy in all of these different forms that we can all agree maybe might be a positive, not just trying to drum up propaganda or whatever, but actual people that care about the community that are willing to come to the table with an agreement that we're not going to talk about politics. We're not going to talk about why Republicans need to win this cycle or why Democrats need to win this cycle. We're talking about Joe and his friends care about the roads being bad, and here's why. Joe and his friends care about data centers are important, something that we need to talk about, something that we need to have real conversations about. We need to listen and hear all sides. We need to come to an agreement that this is what's best for us at the community level.
That's exactly right.
That's what's happening.
Public safety, roads, data center concerns, energy rates, utility rates. That's what we should be looking at. Those are the 5 things that we should be looking at. Nothing else matters. Nothing matters. And we're not doing a good job of it. One of the most interesting conversations I've ever had in my entire life was at a private event a couple, 3 years ago. I was invited to hear Mike Pompeo, Trump's first Secretary of State. It was fascinating.
Yeah, interesting.
This was a one-on-one with less than 50 people. He was in a room with all of us, and we threw questions at this man. Anything. And some of the questions were off the wall and interesting, and some of them were extremely direct and probing. My question was totally different. He came up and, we're in small groups. He came up and was talking to us, and he's extremely open. Secret Service is there because Iran is trying to kill him. Honestly.
A little thing.
Yeah, little things like that. They actually let us know. By the way, you being here puts you at risk. Iran has actual contracts to kill this man, so you could be collateral damage. Or do you agree to this? Sure, I'm good. Walked in and met this guy. This individual engaged every single person within 10 seconds on a personal level and made you feel like you were the only person in the room, and then crafted every response to your concerns. And it was legitimate responses. He heard what you said. He digested it very, very rapidly, then gave you either the status of what the issue was you were asking about or a potential solution on the horizon in very simple, very direct, and very digestible dialogue that made you feel seen, heard, and understood.
It's a talented person. It's kind of like those rapid rappers.
Do it.
It's like those rapid rappers. Give them 4 words and they can create a...
Every person in that room felt like they were the most important person. And my question was not anything about policy. I said, how did you do that? How did you just do that? So these are some of the strongest personalities, most divergent personalities that you're ever going to see in one room. These are business leaders, government leaders, national individuals. How did you do that? He said, you know what I always start with? And he did it every single time. And he did it so subtly, he didn't even know. Hey, Chad, right?
I don't know what my name is.
What do you like about this town? What's important to you? Boom. He knows.
And just wait for the answer, actually.
He just listened.
Listen.
And
if he doesn't say anything for 10 seconds, just sit and listen and wait.
He literally was like, okay, I hear this. And what was your question? That's how he did it every single time. And he crafted the answer to address your specific loves, concerns, and question about the community in which you lived. He didn't care about the national narrative. He cared about what was important to you locally, and he translated the national issues down to you at a local level and did it in seconds.
Well, it dials back to where we said early on how 90% of the people probably agree with each other
100%.
On most things.
It did.
Like, you take all that, dial it back in, it's like, we have a real disagreement over here on a few things. Let's talk about that at some point. We don't need to talk about it. Here's where we agree.
100%.
We all agree we don't want to lose a tire on the road.
Yeah. I mean, is this what's best for the community? Yes
or
or
no? That represented the United States at the international level and spoke to people who didn't even speak his own language and was able to get consensus. And I asked him, how did you do it? And that's exactly what. He started off with curiosity, started off with questions. What's important to you? Who are you? What's important to you? And why? What is your question? He started off with questions about you, you're seen, you're heard. Then he gets your question and he forms the answer very, very rapidly. That is a talent that we have lost. He is not promoting himself. He is not promoting the government. He is listening to you as a constituent.
Is it a talent that we've lost or a talent that's been stolen from us?
I think it's a talent that, and he was very controversial.
We've been taught not to really focus on that that's even important.
We've been taught that critical thinking is bad.
You're tapping into something much deeper.
Yes.
That we're talking about national things that tap back into local things. These are the things why I hear all these links and stories and podcasts. Me and Travis share stuff all the time, and it's like, this makes all the sense to me, and yet there's no local dialogue that really explains how that circles back around and impacts our community. Why are we not having the conversation that says, we see all the mistakes being made out in LA and like the homelessness and industrial complex.
We're replicating it here.
Like, we're replicating it. We're a little Portland at this point. We're trying to dream up how
Portland Loop.
Our biggest dream is how we can come up with the bigger public pooping.
Oh, it's on the way.
Shoot up place. I mean,
it's on the way.
Like, listen. That's not what we're doing.
There's a bigger one coming down the river.
We're not.
Yeah.
Me as a bigger community, I'll say I think I'm probably 78% of people don't want a place that people can go and shoot up anytime they want and whatever. That's just not what anyone in our community really wants. But most people are concerned and afraid to say, no, I don't want that, because they think they're going to be harmed in some way, and you're going to be penalized in some way.
Castigated in the public eye, in the public square.
The sphere in southern Indiana that United Divided wants to create is a place where people can go. They can give their real concerns. They can be captured in a place where people have to be held accountable to answering the general questions that most people think are important. And that doesn't mean somebody from a crazy outside perspective has this opinion and it's going to be included in everything. But that doesn't mean you can rule out that person has a valid point on the outskirts. The conspiracy theory is the thing that's so crazy no one wants to hear it or talk about it until it becomes truth.
100%.
And then it's not a conspiracy theory anymore. So you have to always listen to...
No, but by then it's so marginalized that it's now discredited as a matter of course. They don't care.
Yeah, because most people don't care. They're just going to move past.
What we have forgotten, and what Trump did well, was he created patriotism again. He reinvented it and reinvigorated it and reintroduced it back into our national consciousness, and we wanted it. We are so hungry for something to be proud of in our country. We've been told for years how terrible this country is, how it does this bad, this bad, this bad, this bad.
Side note, Charlie Kirk was doing a really good job of that.
Some people want to respect the 250th birthday of the United States.
It's amazing how that segued so perfectly. It's amazing.
I had to do it for you.
We are bad people because we've been a country for 250 years.
Well, no, but so there's somebody on our city council who did not want to support the fact that we had a 250th
It's Rita.
birthday.
That's who it is.
Move to a different.
I wasn't going to say
It's Rita.
Oh.
Be very.
I'm
invite
pretty
her
sure
here.
that conversation was going to come up.
Invite her here.
Yeah.
Do it. Invite her here. I think
She'll
that'll be-
never come.
She won't, but I think it'd be wonderful.
So I don't.
She's actually a very intelligent.
I don't really
person. She's very
understand
good.
what the conversation is.
What blows my mind is if she is an intelligent person, why she says some of the things that
Because she
says.
believes it.
You think she?
100%.
What's the controversy that I'm missing right now?
Would you like to?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Ultimately, and it was after the 4th of July. It was like like the
Last week or
12th or
something.
13th or something. That the city council took the time to vote on a resolution. Were they acknowledging the
Basically.
250th
Basically.
anniversary of the United States, something to that effect? And it passed, but it passed 7-1. There was a one who did not want to. I don't know, support, I guess, the fact that the United
Didn't agree
States...
with it, yeah. Didn't agree with celebrating the United States 250th.
There you go. And the same individual also wanted to point out that there was a freeze warning or something, or what, the snow...
She alerted through very thinly veiled verbiage that ice
was here. Yeah.
There was ice activity in Evansville and in the
Because there was a white van somewhere.
She wanted to... No, the ice is here.
Was here. Ice is here. Ice is performing detainments here, and they are doing ice. There is ice activity here. My issue, and I think yours probably too, is one, a city leader impeding law enforcement and putting their lives in jeopardy is 100% unacceptable. That person should be called to task, put on the record, made to be accountable for what she did. It is completely unacceptable. There is absolutely nothing that they are doing that is against. They are just simply upholding the laws of the land.
Aren't they
if you
supposed
don't
to
like the laws of the land, change them.
They're supposed to protect the citizens of the people that they're...
That's 100% right. They are performing lawful.
All people.
They are performing lawful activity as mandated by the laws of the United States.
Yeah.
And she intentionally put out communication that, one, was extremely divisive. Two, activated this whole network of anti-ICE people that riles everybody up, charges everybody with
Most people aren't
unnecessary,
even from Evansville.
bombastic
actually. Most of those people aren't
emotion.
from Evansville.
and then puts law enforcement in jeopardy. And by the way, when law enforcement is in jeopardy, the people that they're detaining by very proxy to law enforcement are now in jeopardy. That is unacceptable. And we should be having a conversation about that. And it really pisses me off. I cannot believe no one is up in arms about this. And I, moreover, can't believe that no one's holding her to task for not being... Celebrating the United States, we are the greatest social experiment in the history of the world. We have done more good for the world, the global at all, than any other country in the history of mankind.
The world does put their hand out and want some dollars all the time.
We are, when people are being harmed, we get in the way of that harm and we protect them. We've won world wars on behalf of other countries. We're protected by oceans. And we've won world wars for other countries. We've saved them at great cost from blood and treasure. We give freely. Our police officers, our ICE officers, our law enforcement community as a whole puts themselves in the way of danger all of the time. There are hundreds, if not thousands now, children that were missing that have been located and gotten back to their families as a result of what ICE is doing. And law enforcement as a whole is doing now because of what ICE is doing.
They might have used flock a little.
100% they did. I know for a fact that they did.
I'm not even going to engage right now. I'm just going to sit on my little pedestal over here and just ignore what I just heard. Anyway, move on.
100% unacceptable that this was something that happened.
Yeah.
It is 100% unacceptable, and I don't understand why more people are up in arms. It is detestable.
What can we do?
It is
Transparency.
100%.
Transparency.
What you can do is show up to city council and have a conversation on the record and say, this is unacceptable.
Transparency.
How dare you do this?
What Joe says and what I'm saying are absolutely overlapping all the time.
Show up to city council.
Show up to city council. Our elected officials and want to be elected officials should be answering questions that we all have. It starts at the most local level. We need to quit listening to the national propaganda, and why you as a Democrat identifying as a whatever you are, or you as a Republican identifying as whatever you are, we need to organize as local citizens to put policy in place that moves our communities.
I agree with that, but I don't know that there's anything we could do about somebody who doesn't want to celebrate the...
Yes, there is. You get them out of office. This person was put in office by...
If they're elected, they shouldn't be playing politics.
No, this person wasn't elected. You have to love
I didn't think she was elected, was she?
She wasn't elected by the second ward. She was appointed by the Democratic Party.
That's right. You're a bureaucrat or whatever.
She's one of the most far-left progressives that the city's ever seen in any leadership.
And she's showing her true colors on her...
She did it the first day she was in office. But outside of all of that, this is someone that does not represent the needs and wants of the second ward.
Well, the Democrats won't police themselves. That's what's actually happening. So me right here having a conversation with you, Joe, is me policing the Republican Party. And you, as someone that comes from that side, can defend and have tension and whatever, and I hold you accountable over time. And the left is refusing to do that amongst their own people. Like crazy ideas that most local people will not agree with. No local people are saying, yeah, that's not good. I don't want to really. They might be having that over a beer and like, these people are crazy on this far.
I don't think they are doing that. I think they want the national trend is moving towards. They have energized emotion over fact. They have removed the ability for people to think critically. And if you fall outside of that group think of what feels good, you're outside the party. You are now excommunicated, to your earlier point. You do not have a place, and you don't want to be outside the party. You don't want to be unkind. They've weaponized kindness. If you disagree with them,
it's not kindness. It's tribalism.
Kindness is another tool.
Tribalism is thousands, tens of thousands of years.
100% agree. But they have weaponized the fatigue that every single one of us feels, this Trump anger, hatred of whatever you want to call it, of Trump. We are exhausted with it. We're tired of it. It's nonsense. It's gotten to the place where it no longer resonates with anybody. So now they had to come up with something new. And so they realize everyone's tired. So now we're all kind. We're all going to be kind to everybody. This is not how you treat your neighbor. This is not what Christ would want. This is not what is biblical. Read the Old Testament, people.
How can you be a Christian and support MAGA?
Read the Old Testament. Hell, read the New Testament. I promise you. You need to understand that without borders, we have no country. Without understanding who's in our country, we are going to have, and did have for a long time, mass chaos. We are just simply cleaning up the mess. And sometimes cleaning up the mess is messy. I 100% support immigration. I think some of the very best people that I know in my life have been immigrants. They're amazing.
Yes.
They're absolutely
my finger pointing.
Yes. And you're going across my screen too.
I'm Sophie Cunningham. I love that.
But here's my problem.
I do want to.
But wait, let me finish this. Because while I totally love immigration, mass migration, I don't like.
It's totally different.
It's 100%. We don't need that. That is not what we're supposed to be about.
So not on purpose, but I'm going to circle back to something you said probably an hour ago.
Oh my!
I've got a friend who married a woman from the Philippines.
Sure.
They've been married. It took her 8 years to become a U.S. citizen.
And that's atrocious.
I think that's the problem. I think people are doing it and ate a lot of money. I can't remember how much he told me, but it was an astronomical. It was more money.
Legal immigration is very expensive.
It was more money than I anticipated it being. It was something like $40,000 or $50,000.
How about we promote people through legal migration who have things to bring to the country that are beneficial?
Right,
no, that's where I'm going.
Speed that process up.
So I'm getting with the fact that legalized citizenship needs to not take it was like 7 or 8 years.
Yeah.
It was an astronomical amount of time, and they had been married that entire time. So she was married to a U.S. citizen, which I don't know if that actually has.
That's a lot of fuzzy stuff, right?
I mean, there's a lot there.
What appalls me about this is I am involved in OLA. It's the Hispanic. It's an Hispanic outreach organization. Alfonso Vidal and his wife, Daniela.
We had him on here. He was a good dude.
They founded that. There is an amazing organization, do amazing things for the community. They don't get enough credit for what they do. There are people that are in that community that have been waiting for years. They've done all the right steps. They've done all the right things. And they're still waiting for years. And you know what part of the biggest problem is?
I don't.
It's the massive backlog, the people that have jumped the line.
Is that okay?
There aren't enough resources to simply vet through the steps. There's just certain steps I have to go through. Now, do I agree with that? No, I do not. But they bogged down the whole system to the point where it's now creeping into crawl. We need to, one, set up fast track mechanisms to get these people who are productive, tax-paying members.
The people that have been in line for a long time should be
They're in line.
prioritized.
They've done all the right stuff. Let's fast track them. Let's fix that. That's not a hard thing. You just have to get. But here's the problem. This goes back to my earlier point. If you have a problem that makes you a whole bunch of money, do you really want to solve the problem?
No.
That's the problem.
That comes right back down to local real quick.
Yes, it does. How much money is being made by the migrant crisis? How much money is being made by the homeless
Where's
crisis?
that money
How much
going?
money is being made by the affordable housing crisis? How much money is being made by the abortion issue over decades? How much money is being made by the racial tension that's constantly in play now?
Man, that's in
This
play
is
for
Regardless of your position, it's
outrageous.
Yeah.
When there's being money, when this is monetized and it becomes a business, it becomes a problem. It's no longer about a solution. It's about continuing the business. What's the next step to make more money in the business? That's where we are. And that's totally unacceptable. If we just solve the problem, then they have nothing else to talk about. They don't want the problem solved. They do not
They
want
want
the problem.
division. They want
Yes.
us to be fighting
And
amongst
so
ourselves.
your project helps solve that problem because it gives the community, and I like this project. It's not because you're doing it. I would love for anyone to do this. I'm just glad that you guys had the moxie to do it. It gives the community a centralized platform and voice to
I
voice
can't take credit for
their
it.
issues.
So here's what I listened to a podcast that was like 8 hours long.
good God.
Many years ago. That's Balaji was the name of the guy. And his concept was, if you could use AI, you can use online to create communities who could talk to each other, agree on things. I'm an attorney, I'm a heating and air guy, I'm a plumber, I'm a this or that or the other. And you can build your little micro community out from there. It's a digital community. So basically what you can do is play a game. We're going to move to this little space in Florida that we have all these people who've been talking to each other for 3 or 4 years, and we have a social contract to say, I'm agreeing to be this person, and I'm an upstanding community member, and I'm going to provide this. I've been doing this in Evansville, Indiana, or whatever for this amount of time. I want to contribute to this society. And you create basically a digital community, which you can then fund through sovereign funds to actually go buy land and create the thing that you want to buy. And basically you move away from...
Makes me think of Homestead. You guys watch
Well,
Homestead?
I mean, so I haven't even watched that yet. But
Oh, you
like,
should.
I know. The moral of it is smart people dedicated to a long track record of community, taking care of people, not lying, trying to build things, and agreeing that, hey, we're a tight-knit group now. What can we invest in together that we can move?
That's called community.
We've divested from our community, and how do you rapidly bring that back to a centralized Evansville,
Leadership
Vandenberg
is how
County?
you do it. You do it through leadership that's actually listening to the people that they're leading. You had Sean Georges on here. His book is sitting right back there.
Mhm.
This is an individual that has led enormous groups of people in some of the hardest situations that you can possibly imagine. He's an amazing individual. And you know how he leads? Through servant leadership. He's the last one that he considers in every decision. And our politicians, our civic leaders need to get back to that.
Mm-hmm.
And they've forgotten it a long time ago. They should be at the end of the benefit chain. Because right now, every decision that's being made in our local government is how do we advantage the government more?
I was
so
like,
the
that is
government
not
can
the
do more.
formula of government right now.
But it should be.
It should be.
It used to be. We wanted to
Absolutely.
get government smaller so that the people could get bigger.
Ask not what you can do for you, or what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your
JFK,
country.
You know what? He'd be a hardcore Republican now.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But I tell people all the time, when I would talk to people when I was campaigning, I'm a JFK Republican. And they'd, what? And they were
What does that even mean, dude?
help me. That's exactly what they say.
Yeah.
I said, here's what exactly it means. I want fair wages for people. I want safe communities. I want respect for law enforcement. I want pro-business. And I want people to be able to do whatever the hell they want in their houses, as long as it doesn't hurt people, kids, and it's consensual. I don't care. Government has no business in your life, or my life.
Yeah.
Zero. The end. JFK Republican. It's Ronald Reagan, JFK, Margaret Thatcher, and Churchill. That's it. That's exactly what government should be again. Listen to you, and you, and I want to do what's best for the group I represent. Not what's best for me, not what's going to get me reelected. If I run for an office and I have one term and I make massive change and it helps the entire community, success. Absolute success. I want nothing more than something like that. If what I do gets me reelected because they want to continue change, great, cool, no problem. I will 100% look whatever position, whatever thing I do, I will 100% look at what maximum impact I can make in whatever term I assume. How hard, how fast can I push to get the maximum benefit for the community I'm representing, period. Not for me, not to get reelected, not to reelect my friends, not to put my friends in positions of power. How do I make the maximum benefit for the maximum amount of people in the community in which I exist? The end.
And the only pushback I'll ever give you here, because everything you said was an amen moment, is I am myself back to the individual of we can go to the greater good all the time, to what most people agree with. And I agree with you on all of that. There always has to be that tension, even in the era
100%, 100%.
of agreement. Going back to our founders, going back to the principles which were created, we had the best document ever created on the history of the planet.
Which was sourced from some of the best societies in the world.
And yet you had people, very smart people, pushing back.
And they should.
At all levels and saying.
On every single item.
Every single item, all the time. And that's where we've been filtered out. Like, that's where I feel like people in our community that are really smart, that want to know and want to contribute, are ruled out because they don't fall into the political
when I say
diatribe of whatever.
Representing, creating the greatest good for the greatest amount of people, that's done by listening to the individual. That's done by having a relationship with you and you. And that's done when you're sitting in a restaurant and someone says, hey, I hate to bother you. Sit down. Tell me what's on your mind. That's how it's done. That's what being a servant leader is. Your time is not your own anymore. For whatever time you're serving.
There's no money attached to it.
No.
There's no money attached.
When you're serving, your time is not your own. Yeah. You are serving 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. Period. You are on call all the time. Someone wants to sit and have a conversation with you. You as a leader, civic leader, as a servant, civic leader, you're called a public servant for a reason. You serve the public.
Receiving tax dollars.
Correct. You are obligated to have that conversation. And if you don't understand that, get the fuck out of office.
Amen, brother. Do you have anything to wrap this segment up? I want to touch on more of a national consideration that's going to pull local. So what do you want to, you have any questions, parting questions there?
No, I think we've gone over some good stuff.
What time are we at?
We are at 2 hours and it is 8:30.
Okay. So there's a larger conversation going on all around us that almost no one local will talk about. I feel compelled always to bring national conversations to the local level and see how it might impact us, wondering where the questions are being answered, the conversations are being had. How is rapid AI deployment affecting our community overall in a 6-month, 1 year, 3 year, 5 year, 10 year perspective? It's a question that any potential leader, you, Joe, or anybody else that's running against you in any role, is going to have to answer. Like, these are not questions that we as citizens of Evansville should wait for national politicians or AI companies or whatever to solve for us and then tell us how we need to respond to those questions. These are questions that we need to be answering locally at the same time that they're asking them all across the planet.
I think
I got a clip. I'm leading into something. So rapid AI is coming.
Oh yeah.
And it's coming at a greater capacity or a lesser capacity or whatever. And we will agree at different levels on that. My final part.
Very different levels.
Very different levels. And and nobody is wrong. I can't wear my I was wrong shirt because I don't know if I'm wrong yet. I hope I'm wrong. I hope Travis is more right. I don't know fully where you are. I want to listen to this little clip.
Sure. Understand
that
throw it out there.
Rapid AI is coming. This gentleman, I think I alluded to it early in the the conversation with it. We were talking about ChatGPT. He was one of the founders. He stood to to make a lot of money. He was asking questions, and the leadership went from "it's all good" to "you need to quit asking those questions," and we're putting those questions on lockdown. This comes right back to our community because there's certain questions that we aren't, as citizens, privy to get the answer because our leaders hold the answers that they can't share with us, or we shouldn't be privy to it, so we're told.
And they may not have the answers to it. They may not even contemplate it.
And I just want to know that they're saying that, and then we can have the communication together. So we're going to drip into the Diary of a CEO clip here. And it really is about just kind of questioning what's going on around us. I want to leave everyone with a looking out of what's going on. Here's what we need to be thinking about. This guy might not be right, but it's a pretty good clip.
Children. Yeah, I have 2 children. It's kind of sad. Like, I think that one way or another, this will probably all be over by the time they're old enough to join the workforce. So I don't think they'll ever join the workforce.
When you say this will be all over by the time they join the work, what do you mean by this will be all over?
So these milestones that I described, like AI is automating the AI research, AI is getting super intelligent, AI is then exploding out into the economy, taking the jobs, building robot factories to build more robots, to build more factories, etc. GDP starting to go vertical. That sort of thing is what I mean. Like all of those events transpiring. Maybe there's like 10, 20% chance or something that hits a wall and none of this comes to pass, even if you don't do anything.
How old's your oldest?
6.
6. Boy, girl?
Girl.
Girl. So your daughter comes to you and says, "Dad, what shall I study in school?"
I mean, again, like if these radical transformations happen, then the world would just look completely different. And what sort of jobs you set yourself up for basically won't matter that much, probably. I would say that the thing to do is, well, A, try to make it actually go well. Like if you can exert any influence at all on history and how this all develops, you should be trying very hard to steer the future in better directions. And then separately from that, on a personal level, you should focus on, well, being a good person and doing things that are sort of good for their own sake, rather than good because they'll set you up for later employment, because that later employment is going to be very uncertain, basically.
Elon talks about this age of abundance we're heading towards. Age of abundance.
There'll definitely be abundance. The question is, who controls the abundance and what do they do with it, right? Are the AIs controlled by anyone or are they doing their own thing? And then if they are controlled by people, who controls them and what do they do? And what's the sort of like political structure governing how they make those decisions?
I think it was Geoffrey Hinton that said to me, he said, there's no example in nature where a more intelligent species has less control than a less intelligent species, thus saying that we're quite arrogant to think that in a world where there's this artificial brain that's a gazillion times the size of mine, that I'm going to give it orders.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing is I think it's like, that should be our default assumption, is that like, well, there's these brains. We can't see exactly what they're thinking. We're going to make them smarter than us and put them in charge of everything.
And then we're going to give them bodies.
Yeah. And then they're going to be autonomously building new factories and so forth. And like, how is this supposed to end well again? Like, isn't this just exactly like us picking a new species that's then going to outcompete us when it doesn't need us anymore? Like, I think that is just the default trajectory. Now, there's a whole argument we can get into about like ways that we could get off of that default trajectory. So for example, there's research into interpretability that I described previously. And if that research bears fruit, then you will be able to actually see what they're thinking. And then that would be an excellent tool for shaping them and controlling them and making sure that they do what we want, right? There's other sorts of AI alignment research agendas that are making progress. And if enough of those agendas succeed sufficiently, we can avoid this problem. Of course, also there's the regulatory side too, where like part of what makes this difficult is that we're building these AIs in race conditions, you know? Like the companies are secretive about their recipes for making these AIs because it's secrets that they want to protect so that other people can't copy them. And so a lot of it is happening, you know, behind closed doors. Only a few people can really see the recipes that they're using to train these AIs and so forth. And then oftentimes when the AIs behave in unexpected ways or even just like blatantly misaligned ways, sometimes that information doesn't really flow out to the public because the companies are not really incentivized to tell everyone about how they messed up and how their AI is evil. It's just not very conducive to scientific progress on these issues. If the regulatory system was different, then perhaps we could be in a better situation, make faster progress. Also, of course, we wouldn't be planning to put these AIs in charge of everything as fast as possible. And we wouldn't be planning to like let them self-improve, like these are choices that we could not make,
Xin chào mọi người. Chào mừng các bạn. I don't speak Vietnamese, but this show...
Okay. Well, you quieted it. So this is a huge topic over the top of everything that is so local, that it is so important. And yet there's something else happening above and beyond everything that's going on. And again, people are confused, concerned. This is, first of all, is one of the top rated, listened to podcasts on the planet. He interviews people that are connected and are saying the things, agree or disagree.
Sure. Doesn't
really matter. Doesn't really matter if you take his view, but he was an insider in the building of it all and seeing where it's all moving. And I think he laid out a pretty good case to why we should all be a little bit skeptical, concerned, and how rapidly things are moving. So I don't want an answer because you're right and I'm wrong, or I'm right and you're wrong, whatever. I'm just like, this is a big conversation that isn't being had at the local level, regional level, or state level. So it's a problem. I mean, either he's a complete lunatic and everyone can say what he just said was, oh yeah, that's never going to happen. Or we can just be grown adults and we can say, I'm going to be real with you. Here's what we need. Here's the conversation we need to have.
I look to history for answers to questions like this. When Galileo started talking about the Earth not being the center of the universe, and started
ostracized.
The church went after him.
Yeah.
He was called a heretic. He was imprisoned. These things were, and now we just accept what he said as this is the way it is. This is obviously scientific fact. When you have people that are willing to ring the bell and say, this is something we need to be thinking about, that bears listening to. When you have Jules Verne, when he wrote 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, or any one of his scientific works, or his fictional works at the time, he's talking about submarines that are powered with what's obviously nuclear energy, and he was before his time contemplating these things. When you look at, and I'm a sci-fi nerd, so I love Star Wars, Star Trek.
Nerds.
Big time. So when you...
The fact you said Star Wars and not Star Trek is pretty telling there, sir.
Well, I'm a bigger fan of Star Trek than I am.
That was a real nerdy lean in there.
Yeah, no, I like Star Trek more than I like Star Wars.
Make it so number 2.
Yes, exactly. Exactly right. And here's the reason why. Because they actually address some pretty interesting issues. It's not always good versus evil. There's a lot of nuance there. But what my point is, they came out with technology before technology was even contemplated. And we now have tablets and communicators and flip phones, and we have all of these. Yes, we do. We have all of these AI
tools. This is efficient for Bullshit segment right here.
You can Google this, and I challenge you to do it. Google how many, and the inventors of these things will tell you where they got the idea from.
Tablets,
which was Star Trek.
Tablets was a big thing.
Big time. Well, tons of stuff.
Well, yeah.
The contemplation that there's matter versus antimatter, and it could create a reaction and create energy. There was no such scientific principle, and now they know it's true. That is a phenomenon, all based out of Gene Roddenberry and a whole bunch of really smart people that he pulled in and say, hey, make my show better. They created improved scientific principle based on scientific fantasy. This guy is telling us, he's ringing the bell. We are dangerously close to the Matrix. We are dangerously close to the Terminator. We are dangerously close to every single sci-fi concern.
RoboCop
that you've ever heard of.
Minority Report.
Science fiction has long been the bellwether for what's coming.
You can see it coming.
They predict it because it's entertaining. It's very entertaining. Possible. But what we now have is that's becoming reality. That is really becoming our reality. And do we not learn from what we've seen, or are we just going to go blithely.
Is it becoming our reality, or was it our reality?
That's
the conversation me and Travis had always come back to.
I think that's a catch.
Which verse of the universe are we in?
What's fascinating is how long has this technology actually been deployed when we as consumers are just now seeing it. That's something that has always fascinated me. How long has the military or the government or various governments or whatever had access to this technology, and they're just now releasing it? Also fun to contemplate. Also relatively useless in the real world. My concern is that what he's saying is actually right. It's a tool. I can take we have at least 3 guns on this table right now.
There's one behind me.
Yeah, I can take this tool.
I think there's like 5 in the room.
Yeah, at least. I could take this tool and do unspeakable things with it.
Yep.
Or I could walk outside and protect people.
Mm-hmm.
AI is no different. It's a tool. The problem with the AI is we're giving it intelligence and we're turning it loose without putting it on a leash.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's people that are controlling the intelligence and what the leash is.
I don't think they're really controlling it.
Well, yes.
Doing a good job
at some way, quickly they will outrun coverage. But
I think
a government is trying. The government always will have better
100%. But I think
better technology than we have.
I think that when we start letting it make decisions for us and we start asking it to control more, what happens when it gets a hold of the electrical grid and says, you know what? I adhere to a strong energy conservation policy where I don't think that you guys need air conditioning today.
Rolling brownouts, baby.
Turns it off.
Yeah.
And there's nothing we can do to turn it back on. And people die because they're on ventilators. Or they die because they die of heat exhaustion and they're old in their house.
Well, the data centers ran by AI are telling us that data centers ran by AI need more energy. So the grid needs to give them more energy.
Well, hopefully they have their own energy production plants and they just pull the energy they need. That would be the ideal solution. We need to be very careful. And again, sci-fi. I go back to sci-fi. We're in such a hurry to do the thing. We haven't actually decided or taken the time to determine whether that thing is a good thing or not. We're in such a rush to get there. We haven't actually stopped to think about the ramifications of what we've done.
I have a funny question. Maybe this is a good clip all in of itself. What sci-fi or crazy outlandish thing did you see in a movie that you didn't think could ever come true?
There's so many. There's so many.
I mean, go back 30 years.
Go to Jurassic Park.
What did you ever think?
Now we're cloning things.
I think one of the best sci-fi shows, if we're going to talk about sci-fi shows, to show what reality would be like in the world of beyond what we think it could be, would be The Expanse. I don't know if you guys have watched The Expanse.
Yeah, it's good. It's very good.
You need to watch it. I think it is where
it's disturbing, but it's good.
It's disturbing, but I think that's the best depiction of where we're going to be 300 years from now.
What's it called?
The Expanse.
I think looking at any Isaac Asimov book / movie is a really good depiction of where we're going to be. You look at iRobot, that's a great example of the disturbing things that we're going to start seeing if we don't control these things.
But I hate.
And unfortunately, it won't wrap up in an hour and 2 hours. It's going to.
Wait, before we we've been doing like we're at 2:13. We probably need to cut it pretty soon. But I do want to say that what I hate is that our science fiction paints the bad of everything. Like aliens are going to be bad. Yeah. Technology is going to be bad. Well, I haven't watched this.
You need to watch it.
But I'm just saying, like, it's always aliens are going to come and try to either annihilate us or put us in like be slaves.
It has to be a fear crisis. If the aliens show, if in a movie aliens show up and they're all nice, where's the crisis? There's no crisis. That's like you don't
have a hero moment.
I guess that's kind of Contact.
You don't have a hero moment,
or not Contact.
Yeah, they did make that.
No, what's the one with the
Contact was really
Fisher,
good.
Isla Fisher, I think, and Hawkeye.
I know what you're talking about.
Where they were together. It's not Contact. What's that movie called? That was a good one. That they weren't really bad necessarily. They were helping us understand consciousness and like time, and her whole mind like slips in time and she sees the future, but she doesn't realize it, and blah blah blah. Whatever. But I hate that our science fiction is always just like, and I get that that's how you get viewers, but that doesn't necessarily mean that's where we're going. When aliens come to visit us, that we aren't necessarily the ant to their boot. When AI comes to visit us, or when technology is beyond our not beyond our control, but beyond what we can think about, it's not always going to be bad. I mean, I get that it can be bad, but every single situation that we ever see in science fiction, it always goes
You asked me
Well,
what movie I saw.
They
that
create
was
what
so
sells,
absurd.
though.
What movie I saw in the 90s that I never would have imagined possible. I challenge you both to go back and watch the Sylvester Stallone Demolition Man.
Oh, I've seen it.
Oh yeah.
That
Crocheting,
society is absolutely insane.
I still don't
and yet we
understand
have
the
it
three
today.
seashells. I don't know the three seashells.
No, but we probably have some.
How long ago is it since you watched it?
Oh, it's been probably 10 years.
Go
So
back
go
and
watch it again.
But I remember the three
seashell.
seashells. I remember that Taco Bell
Go back and watch
bought
it again. It'll
all
be amazing.
every restaurant is Taco Bell.
It's more the societal situation of kindness. We're all kind. We can't have conflict.
Oh yeah, because every time he would cuss, he would get fined.
Yeah, you need to go back and watch it. My issue is with technology or the technical overlords that we may or may not have at some point.
Mm-hmm.
One, it's a tool, and we need to make sure that we keep it in the toolbox, not that we're in the toolbox being controlled by it.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't like anything that makes decisions for me.
Oh yeah.
I don't care whether it's the government. I don't care whether it's technology. I don't care. And I understand the paradoxical situation that puts me in, because in point of fact, we are controlled by every single thing we do. I was talking to Sean Georges, and we were talking about marketing, and we were talking about how buying and selling of the things that they did at Shoe Carnival. He was the general counsel of Shoe Carnival. And one of the people, the buyers, or one of the people that are on the buying team, told me one time, I said, I really like these shoes I'm wearing, these tennis shoes. And I'm like, do you think you made that decision? We knew 2 years ago when we were buying that those are the choices you were going to make based on the demographic and who you are.
Oh, dude, that was Apple's big selling point.
And
we want to bring to you what you want, like before you know what you want.
Yeah.
They know exactly what we want because they're telling us what we want.
Mm-hmm.
Not because we're self-discovering. It's because they're telling us what we want.
Mm-hmm.
So when I had that realization, it disturbed me enormously. But then I realized, okay, I'm okay with seceding some of my decision-making, and I'm going to pick from the choices they're giving me. That said, I don't want technology controlling my life. I don't want it. I can get unplugged from that phone and I won't think another thing about it until I absolutely need to make a phone call.
But not everybody can.
You can, but your kids and most people
The
can't.
addiction is very real, and that's a disturbing thing. It's created an addiction, and I don't like it. Anything that you're addicted to, that you start getting DTs from, that's a problem. There's not a thing in my life that I'm like, I can't live without, short of my family. I can't, there's not a thing in my life, not one material thing that I'm like, oh my God.
There's social pressure there, Joe, which I think most people, and I agree with you 100%, but I will push back on is, Travis has been sitting here for 2 hours, and his daughter or wife are probably texting him wondering, are you coming home sometime soon? Are you wrapping up? Are you doing all these things? Like we are trained to answer to this thing where I'm 53 years old. When I was 13, I didn't have anything that followed me around anywhere. Mm-hmm. I could go fishing, leave in the morning.
I'm glad I wasn't
leave in the morning before the sun came up
when I was in high school,
because I told my parents I'm going fishing and I want to be at the lake 2 miles away. I'm going to ride my bike to. I'm going to be fishing right when the sun comes up, and I'm going to come home when I come home. And they're like, "We'll see you later, bud. We'll see you later." And there's that whole thing of trust, go out and explore the world, feel pain, fall off your bike.
They've made everything so
scary. Put a fish hook on. Oh, a hook just went through my finger. Am I going to have to cut it off right now? Do I need to call a helicopter? I mean, these are just things that you just deal with because you're a kid out in the wild world. We are protecting.
Everything's so scary now. Everything's so scary. That's why kids can't do anything on their own. They're so overwhelmed by every.
And we're all guilty of protecting our kids.
It's ridiculous. It is absolutely ridiculous. They need to get dirty. They need to fall down. They need to hurt themselves. They need to have broken
Cry when there's pain.
They need to cry when there's pain. They need to understand how to get through conflict. We can't make everything so damn soft that they don't understand how to deal with actual issues when they come up as a young adult or as an adult. That's why we are hamstrung as a society. That's why they get in their phone, because they don't have to have real conflict, or they can have conflict with no consequence. When I was a kid and I mouthed off to someone bigger than me, you know what happened? I got my ass kicked.
That's right.
I'm glad I was always bigger than everyone.
I'd
still punched you though. I'd have ran real fast away from you.
I'd get my ass kicked. And you know what? Good. It taught me not to run my mouth stupidly. That's what
I really need to think out this argument that I'm getting ready to lay out.
But I mean, ultimately, we need to get back to stop being so soft. We need to stop being so dependent on the things we do. And that's what this technology does. It's a toolbox that we need to put it back into its proper lane and not depend on it for our life. That's what terrifies me. It's not that the technology exists. It's not for the miraculous things that it can do. I don't hate Flock for the things that it can do. I hate Flock for how it could be used. It's a totally different conversation. Is it in the lane in which it should be? Is it totally transparent? Is it responsible to the people that it's protecting, or is it benefiting the government? That's the decision. Those are the things those are the questions when you ask that. Those are the questions that we need to be asking and challenging every single day. How is this helping people, the individual?
But that's where the transparency. I just want to say it real quick.
You said transparency. That's where I was going.
Yeah, that's where the transparency of that technology can come into play. If we, the people, could see the bylaws, the contract, the protections, the givens, or the protections, or you know what?
Here's what we can say. No. We can say this isn't good. Let's stop.
We don't like it.
We've signed up this community to give our data to the Flock system to pay for the Flock system. Whatever it might be, I don't know if that's the case. I mean, I think
we're owners of it. I mean, we own.
But I mean, just if we could see somewhere the entire contract, the entire bylaws, everything that it can or cannot do, or the security in place to make sure that somebody doesn't utilize it in a nefarious way. If we could see those things, I don't know why we can't see those things, but if we could see those things, that would make that a much less scary.
I honestly don't
piece of technology.
What I go right back to my earlier statement. If you are a public servant, if you're a law enforcement public servant in a leadership position, if you are in civic leadership in a leadership position, you have a responsibility, a duty of care to be completely accountable at any point in time. Dinners aren't your own anymore. Nights out aren't your own anymore. Do you want them? Sure. Try and figure out how to do it. But if you're asked by one of the people you represent a question, you get that person an answer. You listen to them. There have been people that I've watched in business, in government, that do that at an extremely high level. One of the things that's fascinating me, and this is why Trump is so effective at what he does, is he will stop everything he's doing to listen to you. Doesn't matter who you are. The less important you are, the longer he'll spend with you. It's amazing. He came to town. He spent time talking to every single law enforcement officer on the hot-ass tarmac. He was late to his deal, so he could talk to the law enforcement. Thank you. How are you guys doing? Is your family okay? And you're just like, what? That's why he resonates with the common person. It's not
he uses that feedback. He uses that feedback in his speeches.
Directly. He learns about the place he's talking to by talking to the people that are living in it. He does what Mike Pompeo does. What's your name? What's important to you? Why do you love living here? And what's your question? Boom. Those three things.
Heart of it.
It's amazing what happens when you actually listen. And that's why people love it. And that's why people hate him too, because he connects with people in a way that's very hard to refute. So
when you unite people, it's actually a huge threat to certain narratives and apparatuses that thrive and only survive under division and fear. If certain people can't live in division and fear, their message will not go anywhere.
So I go back again to what I know. When I was a kid, when I was a teenager, I was trying to pull a fast one on my parents. Mm-hmm. I'm sure neither of you ever did this. Never did this. But
I was a better kid than you, Joe.
100% guarantee.
I didn't use my second floor window to climb out.
Not ever. Would you ever do that?
Never.
That wasn't an admission. No, it was not.
I would occasionally pull a fast one, or try to pull a fast one on my parents.
You thought you were?
Yeah, I thought I was. They're very clever people. Much smarter in retrospect than I gave them credit for at the time.
They didn't have cameras.
No.
Tracking you out of the house, though.
Not to my knowledge.
Yeah, right.
So I would be successful until they got together with whomever it was I said was involved in whatever alibi I had for whatever nefarious activity I was up to. Yeah. And they'd be like, oh, Chad, did you see Joe? I'm like, shit.
Joe, did I see you?
Rat it out.
Transparency right now, bro.
That's what they're trying to do. They're trying to keep people from talking to each other. They're trying to keep people from validating a story or a narrative or a decision, because once you start talking and visibility and light come to a dark area or a cloudy space, everything's brought out in the open. It's amazing what happens. It's amazing how badly people want to keep that from happening. Mm-hmm. Not saying that anyone, particularly on the Flock issue, is doing that, I don't understand exactly what's going on in that space. I do know that we use Flock extensively in law enforcement. I have used it myself.
Mm-hmm.
It is extremely useful when it comes to quickly. It's a force multiplier.
Mm-hmm.
It gets us in front of the crime
Help me answer this best question that I have. That's not even a fully developed question. Let's assume that Travis has his house
and I do
on.
have to stop at 9.
Travis has his.
I need to stop pretty soon. I need to pause or start something because I'm about to
give me 2 minutes
right now.
Travis wants to be fully aware of people exiting and entering his house forever.
Sure.
How would that have worked in our childhood? And if everyone was watching us all the time, how would we be different today because we weren't allowed to go out and do stupid things, make mistakes, talk to the wrong person? But like, we're trying to control microcosms of everything in our communities. That's ultimately what all the cameras, all down to the local level in our private space, that's always my pushback. Not that I disagree with any of it. It's just like, how would my life have been different if my parents could say, Chad just got up out of his bed and jumped out that window?
You know what's amazing?
Joe just did that.
How
really
many parents have Life 360 on their kids' phones?
And I'm not arguing against it. What I'm saying is we are changing.
It's disturbing.
We are changing society
It removes
in one
the
way or
kids'
another.
ability to make some decisions on their own.
Our kids will be afraid to be trustworthy because they won't go out and make a stupid mistake.
Yeah, 100%.
And get like, I got away with that one, and now, I didn't get away with that one, and whack, you got your hand slapped, and there's no consequence to anything.
I was talking to a person today, and she's a great parent, and she said, I've got a 17-year-old who refuses to drive. I was like, what? When I was 15, I was begging for my license.
Absolutely.
I wanted freedom to get away.
Give me the biggest engine.
I still remember.
Give me the fastest thing.
I still remember the day I got my driver's license, where I went and how I got there.
Yeah.
The way I went there.
Yeah.
It was just like freedom. But you know what? They don't care because they're not incentivized to do any of those things because they're being watched 24/7, 365 days a year, and all they want to do is be on this.
When and we're
It's
taught
ridiculous.
we're taught to be afraid that our kids might get snatched. We need to be in control.
Well,
we need to see everything.
terrified this
Did they go 56 miles an hour?
I'm afraid my kid might get snatched.
No. And this is a legitimate concern that could happen. Like, but
But the percentage is probably not near as high. as my brain thinks
if we're just weighing things out, not good. In Evansville, Indiana, not good.
Yeah.
The fact that your daughter will ever have that thing. But
she's a redhead.
But this is what we fight in our minds and with what we actually focus on locally. And this is what I think having just these conversations is, we have to call out our own irrational fears. We need to focus on the things that are most important and be willing to say, yeah, I'm being a little too controlling in this. And like, this is, if I look out 10 years from now, that camera looking at everything my daughter ever does or my son ever does forever, they're not going to ever be able to make a mistake. Like that's just not healthy, and it will not end well. There's no way that ends well.
So I talk about my parents all the time. I love them. I think they're incredible people. I remember my dad telling me something a long time ago. And at the time, I was just like, that makes absolutely no sense. He told me I needed to not be afraid to fail.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't like that. I didn't like that at all. I don't want to fail. I don't know.
As a kid, you try to not.
As I was a young adult just starting a business, you need to be unafraid to fail. You need to create space. I said, why are you letting it? He would talk about things about business at the dinner table with my mother. He saw her as a wonderful sounding board. And she is. She's a phenomenally intelligent individual. Very unique perspective, phenomenally intelligent. And I knew what Dad was talking about at the dinner table. And I was like, Dad, why are you even doing that? Just tell him the right answer. And he's like, I have to give him space to fail so he'll learn the lesson. Mm-hmm. I have to just sit back and let it happen. So why are you doing that? That is
save
the dumbest
time.
thing.
Yeah.
Just cut to the chase.
Yeah.
He's like, you'll understand when you're older that in order to succeed in life, you have to fail. Thomas Edison was asked, the story goes, 999 times he tried to create a light bulb. On his 1,000th time, he succeeded. And it said, how do you feel failing 999 times? He's like, I didn't fail. I learned 999 ways not to make a light bulb.
Mm-hmm.
Michael Jordan talks about all the shots, last minute, second shots that he missed.
Yeah.
I mean, you see all the highlights, but he's like, I remember when that happened. And the reason why I worked harder the next day is to make sure that if I was put in that position again, I would perform just a little bit better than I did the last time.
I watched
Which
his
is the key.
documentary, which is fascinating. He was cut from his high school varsity team,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
and it stung badly because this was
He could have quit.
Oh, he thought he was going to.
Should have quit.
He thought he was going to. And you know what was amazing to me as he went the other way? He was so spurned and burned by this failure that he spent all summer becoming the best that he could possibly be. Thousands and thousands and thousands of shots made. Hours and hours and hours spent putting that ball through that hoop from all different points on the court. And he was smaller than everybody else. And so he wanted to start shooting from the outside where he was safer from not getting bounced around.
Mm-hmm.
That's what he focused on. And he came back and he made the varsity team, and he credits the entire success he's ever had to his high school basketball coach because he failed me, kicked me off the team because I wasn't doing what I was supposed to do. That's what made him great, was failure. And when I get asked to speak, and I get asked to speak pretty regularly to people, I don't talk about the successes of my life. I talk about how many times I failed to get to the place I am. Because you have to experience failure, a lot of it, to get to the place where you can actually have an experience set in your toolbox to say, that's not a good idea. That's a bad idea, actually. Let me go this way. I know what this feels like. Let's go this way.
I think that overlaps with a lot of our local situations that we're dealing with. We're trying to put Band-Aids on things without actually going to the problem and like pulling the Band-Aid off real quick and saying, here's the problem. Are we going to foster this problem, or are we going to foster a solution?
The policy we have are a total abdication of self-responsibility. Yeah. The government doesn't want us self-reliant. The government doesn't want us to have self-responsibility. The government doesn't want us to be ambitious. They want to control what we do. They want to tell us what's the right answer. The second we become self-reliant, the second we start questioning authority, the second we start moving in an independent direction, and the second we start talking to each other, is the second that the government is not the most important thing in the room. It is now truly relegated to where it should be, which is serving the people. They don't want that. So
it sounded like a very populist narrative conversation.
Almost like it's totally common sense and based out of the Constitution. So just say.
Travis is about ready to explode.
I am.
We are
9 on the dot.
9 on the dot, which is pretty fantastic.
Yes.
People watching this at random times don't understand what that means, but I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Joe, it was good catching up. We haven't sat down for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Me and Travis have been trying to create a couple of different podcasts.
You guys are busy.
I think, and he's also working a full-time job.
What?
Yeah.
What?
So we're just creating things that we're trying to drive value back to Southern Indiana through business, through conversation, through better governance, through better leadership, through better conversations. That's what I think Unite the Divided is
mm-hmm.
leaning towards now. In my as I'm just trying to reassess where we are, we can just have real conversations. Like national things do impact our local population.
It does.
Data centers, flock, all these conversations people are emotional about, real or not real, they are concerned, and we need to answer those questions, and that's 100%. What Unite the Divided is about.
One of the things before we go, one of the things that is really, really funny to me is when someone on any comment that you guys make to a leader or a candidate out there, and they say, well, way to unite the divided. You actually are bringing questions from the people that are sending them to you to ask these people. That mm-hmm. is the very definition of uniting people. Yeah. There's a responsibility. If you're a candidate, if you're a civic leader or a law enforcement leader, or in any way a public servant, your responsibility is to answer these questions. So kudos to you guys, keep doing it. Don't get discouraged by these people that try and paint you guys.
I'm dumb enough to be ignorant of anyone pressuring me to not say what I want to say.
Yeah, don't do that. So I say it every time. You guys are doing something amazing here. I really, really appreciate that you guys are giving people voices to have the conversation. So
well, we appreciate you, Joe. And regardless of politics, what I love about you and what's I think made us pretty quick friends is you are willing to have conversations about, it doesn't matter what the topic is. Doesn't mean you're going to agree with either one of me and Travis. And you're just willing to say, this is important to some people.
100%.
And I know some of my questions, and like me and Travis go back and forth on riffing on things. Some of my questions don't even make sense to Travis. Like, and because he and I agree on like 93% of things, and he can put 92. Now it's 2. Great. Now we got to reassess where we are. The whole conversation needs to change. But we can put pressure on each other in these little nuanced conversations, and I think that's actually driving what the next conversation is going to be, what it needs to be. Like, where do he and I disagree? We need to talk about things we agree on, bring people that disagree with us, and then on the nuances on all these outer issues, we need to say, what do you and I really disagree on, and how can we make those questions known and make this conversation better and have those debates moving forward? Because that's all we have.
I think that's
all we have.
Good perspective. I used to work for a gentleman named Tom Gabe, who owned Heritage Petroleum, and he was important to me. He's a very interesting individual, very, very opinionated, very, very interested, most entrepreneurial person I've ever met in my entire life. And he told me something that I've never forgotten, and I find it more and more accurate every year I'm go around the sun. You can't think for other people. All you can do is listen. And I didn't understand that because I was young. I was a young business leader working in his organization. And I wanted to get to the solution. I had the solution. I wanted to get them. I didn't, and I would literally say,
just listen to me. I'm going to
be in the boardroom. I say, I don't care what you think. Just do what I'm saying. Just do what I say. And he would just be like, he would just lean back like this and shake his head, disappointment. And then we'd talk about it, and he'd say, you can't tell people how to think. You have to create consensus. You have to get them to see what you're trying to get them to see without making them do it. You can't tell them how to think. You can only listen. And I learned that lesson the hard way. I failed forward on that so many times until I didn't. Until one day he leaned back in his chair and did one of these.
He finally said,
finally,
you got there.
After all
Sensei.
that time.
37 years later. No.
It's been 84 years.
This was painful time out of my life, sir.
But it's one of those things where you learn things from people. And he was that was a very astute thing. And he also would say, to be a leader, you have to be a fucking psychologist. I would say that all the time.
That's very true.
Quote unquote from Tom Gabe. But he was a really amazing person. He's passed, but he built a really great organization and something to be very proud of. So,
well, I want to drive this point home. I want people from nonpartisan, all
God,
directions.
I hope you get these people in here.
Have conversations, ask questions. We are creating a website right now that will allow you to ask questions to pinpoint. Oh my! To pinpoint. That was generous.
Yeah. Giver.
I got to
Or
drive
sad.
to pinpoint who we want addressing and answering these questions, because ultimately I think I want transparency, and I don't care what political person or party is bringing the transparency on each topic to the table.
If they've got great ideas, do it.
Just talk about it.
Yes. 100%.
If you were meant to be a political person helping to organize and be a government employee, which it's hard for me to talk about that, but it's because you want what's best for the people of your city, not the people that agree with you in every situation in your city. We need more conversations. We need more friction. I need to disagree with you on more things and keep pushing back in all directions. And let's do it respectfully. Let's have conversations. Let's agree to disagree.
I had a lot of bourbon. I'm about to get transparent in my pants here.
Travis is going to the bathroom. Love you all. Please reach out. Find us on YouTube, Facebook, Rumble, Spotify, wherever you find us. Like, share.
Absolutely.
Make a comment. It helps us get found on this platform, wherever you found us. And we appreciate you watching. We love you all. We'll see you soon. Thank you, Travis.
Yeah,
Thank you, Joe. See you next time.
Awesome.
Absolutely. Take care, guys.
Take care.